So you can actually download our book chat, the group, if it's possible. Then we can at least take a look what we got, right? And again, today, that means like, the thing is going to deal by, say, 11:59 tonight. So you better do it. Well, we look at, okay, we look at the design first. The point is like, at the end, we need a print for that. Actually, I prefer you do it in, say, silkscreen printing, something like that. So that's the reason I have to talk about other things related to that first. The reason behind is like, typically what we got right now, it looks like this. Everything is in flat color. Everything is in flat color. Look at that, it's all flat color. But whenever somebody told me, hey, there's one way that we're going to expand the number of colors. Remember that? Say if we're using this yellow, but somehow I want to give it different tones of it. So that means I have turned this to maybe say, change the opacity, if you remember talk about that, or maybe tint, some kind of color, a little bit lighter, but still the same color. This is one method we use all the time to cut down this like printing cost, because the printing cost goes by colors. How many colors do you have, and at the end it will cost you how much. So basically, if you've got more numbers of colors, then you've got higher price, but that higher cost for making that. So in terms of getting some kind of like provided color, but with like limited number of colors, maybe we can use that tint to actually change it. But the tint is actually the term for we using, when we talk about we got lighter color. But somehow if we turn it to be some kind of like print piece, we have to change it. We have to turn it to be a halftone. Halftone is something looks like this. When you look at those there, so this is actually halftone. So you see, if we, I try that also, if you say I'm in Illustrator, I say I'm going to use the same color, but somehow make, say 50% of the opacity, and then do sort of like export for color separation. If I do that, what I see is just a flat color there, without any kind, say holes, without any transparency. There's just no way to print it with it. No way to print color with it. That's the problem. So if we really want to have some kind of spot color printout, we need to convert those halftones into this kind of pattern, which is like dots or maybe other. The point with that is like you will see solid holes. Solid dots with some kind of holes there. The holes is actually nothing. They won't on and won't be print on that. Say actually technically the hole will be print on that, but somehow the dot will be kind of blocking whatever those print and blocking those things to be print. So you end up have something like that. So at the end, you use that to represent the halftone. I guess a couple of you probably got this like issues that you're using one color, but basically you expand it into maybe 2 more other tones, and then you keep the same color on that way. So in this way, you can print things on this method, and then at the end, then we can have several different kind of like tones for that. We call it halftone. We use it. So what you could do is like very basic way to do it for the Illustrator, I guess, is like I do a demonstration for that. So what you could do is very simple. And I just do say whatever you can actually make up, say box with that. And just let the borders like transparent and fill with some kind of color. At this time, maybe I just fill with some kind of spot color. So again, we talk about this like Pantone all the time. So it was something maybe a little bit too light. Maybe something like that, okay? So if we do that, this is solid color. Even though I change the opacity, or we say change the opacity here, change the, like, you know, the color tone that here. At the end, once you do the color separation output, that will still give you a plate of solid color. I mean, it's like ink print on that anyway. So it will be just like, there's no halftone effect. So what we could do is, we can go to, say, you can go to a swatch library. You can go to some kind of patterns. You can go to basic graphics. Let's say I do the dots and see. So over there, you can actually say pick the 50, say like what we say, 50%, and then turn to some kind of like dot edges. So with that, we can actually use it for the halftone if we want to do that. But once it's been tried, it turns, it's only a swatch, so at the end you have to expand it. Okay, so we can apply onto whatever we want. Say, let's say I make a, no, we make a, say, yellow, like that. Oh, the yellow. Say, maybe filling it with something else. Doesn't really matter for that because this is showing you the differences. Then you just put them together. Select by selecting both of them and make a clipping path. Then it will just show up on that. So you can apply this on whatever that particular kind, say, color section that you want to. Again, we talk about, say, you may want to have, say, 80% halftone. You may have want to have 50% halftone, like two different colors, something like that. But it's still using the same color. Let's say I have the yellow, then I have 100% yellow, then I have this like 80% yellow, and I have 30% yellow. So you can apply the individual kind, like say, percentage of dot to represent that halftone and use that halftone to print. So this is what we want to do. So I guess, you know, for the case that if you have that, I know not every single one of you will have that, but someone actually have it, right? So for your design. So you may want to change it into this kind of pattern to do that. Okay, so this is one of the way. So this one is 50%. So when you print, you will see, you know, the dot will kind of blocking whatever the ink go in, of course, you know. The transparent will have the ink go in. So in this way, you kind of have something kind of printing that way, even though it gives you some kind of like, you know, a screen kind of feel. But somehow that's just the only way to show that halftone on this kind of print. So this is the way it is. So that if you don't do that, there's no way to print. Especially when we apply the screen printing on it, so we've got to make sure that we will be doing that. Okay, but what do you think about this? It's a little boring, right? So once you have that, well, again, if you have a very nice shape of that color plate, maybe it's okay. But if it's something say, oh, I just have something may not be that good. I mean, you can actually try something else. On here, you have different kind of, okay, say, choices. Say, you can have lines, you can have some kind of like texture if you want to. So let's do work as some kind of like, say, halftone screen. The other way to do it is something look like this. You can also do that, but it takes a little bit longer or maybe more complex to come with. So for this, compared with the one before, it's like what? We have the areas a little bit darker than another area, something like that. So in this side, we can see transparency here. This looks like transparent in somewhere, or maybe you have gradation that you see that gradation actually happen from here, from darker to lighter, and then this way you see that. It's not a bad thing. So if you want to do that, it's also another way to do it. We can start from scratch, I guess. Start a new one, and maybe say just customize to make it say 150, 1,500 pixels. Let me see, 1,500 pixels. 1,500 pixels. And keep in RGB, because it doesn't really matter at the end side, RGB, you're looking for vertical market because what we're doing is only black, so it doesn't really, it's not a problem at all. So maybe just keep the, say, raster effect line, but raster effect doesn't apply here because everything here is vector. So okay, create something like that. And then what we're going to do is like do say rectangular 2, just do a square, make a square. Okay, we fill that with color. Oops. Probably don't need to add to the same. And then remember the one I have is go like more like diamond shape. What you could do is like just rotate with the shift key and turn it to like a diamond way. Okay, so the other one is like I want to copy this by hitting say Option and also shift and drag it out to make another one. But for this one we want to make it smaller because remember we try to create this like sort of like gradation pattern. So here you can open up that transforms and also change it to say smaller size, say 10 pixels. 10 pixels. Okay. And then I want to put it on this corner here. So I want to put it here. So with the transform, it also can be done on this way, say because X and Y here actually tell to coordination here. So we can actually change it. So coordination to X, coordination to Y, both could be, playing with 0. So I put 0 there. I put 0 here. So we see it move here. So we basically touch the scissor point here. Sometimes we use the scissor all the time. If we have a ruler here, what we could change the scissor is actually by grabbing from this corner here and move somewhere. Then you see that will be set as a scissor point. That means you can adjust the orientation if you want to. So that's the one thing. The other thing is like I want to put this into that corner. So I want to put this. I just want to make sure it's on the corner. So what I could do is I zoom in to look at that. And dragging it, put it on here. Make sure it in the intersection. So that is like the little point, the center of the diamond will be on the corner here. Make sure they kind of lay there perfectly. So let me see. So you probably barely see that small dot there, but somehow it's not obvious. Then I'm going to grab both. And then copy it and put it on this corner here. Again, make sure it is on that intersection. If not, I can just zoom in to make sure it's all here. Okay, that's perfectly in the middle. So, okay. So I have both. Then the next step is I will select this tool. And then we go to blend. You make blend because of the design like that. So one of the tricks for that is what? We can make sure, we have to make sure they are not overlapping. So, you know, if they are not overlapping into each other, it's a perfect way. So we're going to adjust it. Better zoom in first. See that? They're not overlapping, but somehow they are apart from each other so far. So the best way to do is actually put them as close as possible, but not overlapping to each other. So we can go to blend options, or you can double click the blend tool. It will be the same thing. Instead of using the color, we're using steps. So this way we can highlight it by changing, say, original is 32, and this time maybe say we add one more and see. This is too sensitive, maybe 33 and see. If you're not so sure, you can click the review to look at it. Okay, 33 doesn't really match each other, then 34 and see. Okay, still a bit closer. Let's try 36 and see. That's pretty much what we talk about, you know, they touch each other but not overlap to each other. So, so I click OK. If we zoom out, look at the whole thing, and next thing you may want to do is do, say, the small one. So I'm going to do that. So, remember what we just got on here. How many steps that we do? 36? Is that right? Okay, 36. If we don't not so sure, we can actually select that and double click and see. Because I always forget things. Double click that, and that's 36 steps. Okay, so we have to make sure it goes with the same number to that. So we're going to select that, you know, and do the same thing. So do the blend, make, and then this time I want to check whether I have the 36 steps. You know, repeat it not. If not, we have to fix it. So they have to be the same number. So the lower or the bottom one needs to be 36. If that's 36, then whatever the small dot needs to be 36 steps as well. So 36, and then make sure they line up perfectly. So now we're done. Then we can select all of them, both, by pressing maybe Command A, whatever, and do the expand. You can actually expand it. So I'm going to expand. Because we need to do another blend for both of them. So if we don't expand it, it can be done that way. So once we're done, they all expand, then we can do this blend one more time. It goes like this. And then we want to check, hey, whether this is a perfect circle or what, you know, on bottom. Because what? We don't want overlapping, the same thing. We don't want overlapping. But somehow we don't want things like too far from each other. So we may want to zoom in and see. Okay? So you see that it's still got a little space here. So what we could do is on this time, we also can do the same thing. We can go to the steps and adjust it. So let's say I make it, say, 33, and see how it looks like. So it's a little closer, but still got room. to move closer. So how about 34? So like that. Even a little bit more. So maybe 35 instead of side. That's pretty close. Okay, so see, we still got a little room. So 36. Okay, maybe let's leave it like that. If we go to 37, we probably overlap for each other, so that may not be perfect way. So again, we go back and look at the whole thing. Now this time, what we're going to do, we do expand again. So everything expanded. So we see all that. If we turn it to the outline, you see they all actually goes down. But it's not finished yet, because it doesn't look really good in that way. So this time, we could do is something we call, say, from effect, from the distort and transform. We pick the transform here. This transform is a little bit different than the transform we just have. So on this one, I want to use transform and also copy the one and move it a little bit next to each other to fill up all these holes. You know, we try to create a better, you know, say gradation effect from the bottom up. So we can do copies one here, and then we can do the move here. So the move is actually move right in the middle. Make sure the preview is on. See that? And I want to make sure it's right here. So you can tell how much is enough. That's the close, but let's try the 19 and see how it works. So it just a little bit, right between that 20 and 19, whatever. So maybe, I don't know whether I can go 19.5, I don't know whether I can try that, and would that be possible? Let's see. Oh, that's, oh well, forget. Maybe 20. I won't do it, sorry. I'm going to do it again. Make a mistake. Transform, copy one, and I get 20, like so. Make sure the view is on. And then since we want to move it, we also have to do the vertical. Vertical looks like because it's a sort of like square, so the vertical probably got something similar to that. So let's see how it will work. 20. Okay, you see that? So once I do that, I show something like that. It looks much more better. Okay, so we basically got the screen done. See, basically this is like a very nice looking foundation. And here is completely dark and also 100% black, and then all the way it turns out to be translucent, a little bit like lighter, because with those like open up the space. So how am I going to apply this? Well, you may want to just leave it like this and rub it if you want to. So that whole rub it, whatever, but it is actually always rub, I guess. And then what you could do is you can apply, say again, you can apply a shape on it. And just by selecting both of them. And then just do the curving path. And you can have that. So these looks a little better than the one we had before. So this one is like, you know, pretty flat in a way because it doesn't come with any gradation. So this one is different. So it's just up to you. I mean, this is one way to do it is you can actually apply those screens onto whatever the object you can do. You can change it to, say, text if you want to. So just put text there to do this curve path again, then you have something like this as well. So basically, you can use it, but for print, for this spot printing, so you can turn your sort of like tint or opacity. You know, this kind of screen, and you can use the screen to print it on those screen printing. If not, you can't do that. So in this way, you probably don't see the whatever, that flat color on your piece, but somehow, instead of that, you have the screen slide put on your file. I mean that once you try to set your document, and then you have your things, you're ready for print, and things like that, so you need to have this screen being put over there. So this is the basic idea. Okay? Any question? I know you probably say, hey, I don't have these screens, I don't have the halftone. I mean, I just live whatever, I don't care. Of course you can do that, but somehow, sometimes, this is a way to expand the color usage. You know, especially when we try to do this kind of things, if we want to have the halftone of whatever the color, this is one example. Of course, you can have another one, even it's lighter. So let's say this one is like 70%, you can have another 30%. Make it more like, you know, more dimensional if that's the case. But in this way, I mean, if you don't do things on this screen way, there's no way to print it on any screen. Okay, you can print it on this guy, let's say silk screen printing, you can't do it on that. So you have to make sure you just convert those sort of like tint halftone into this kind of halftone screen, then you can print. So this is what we supposed to do for any spot colored printing, screen printing. So this is what we're talking about. So you see this screen here is lighter than this one here. So basically it just depends on how dense they are. So basically this is a little bit like not that dense. This one is much more dense than the other one. So this turns out to be darker than the other one. So we use this way to kind of mimic sort of like halftone. Of course you can do halftone on the other way, but instead of using this way, you can do actual halftone for those like images if you want to. But I don't know how many of you that have that. Did you do, well, we used that method from Photoshop before, right? The method to convert that into video kind of like color sections that you can actually export it into Illustrator to do it. Of course, you can also do this in, say, Illustrator itself if you want to. So I don't know how many actually you have that kind of situation. I wonder. I don't know whether we should do a demonstration for that, because again, that one, if we do that from, let's say, a big one, so it doesn't matter how big it is, just create something like that. And then what you can do is like you apply, so I'm going to, again we do that, the guy, I'm going to place, I don't know whether I can still find him or not. So main, let's look for that. Something like M. Where's that? Oh, the main equals. No, not the main equals. Just do it again. Oh, okay. Or not even, I guess this is not the one. Maybe I'll put him. I don't know. Maybe we can try this one and see whether it works. Just put in. So you do something like that. What you could do is like you can actually use that effect, which is colored halftone. And what you could do is just make sure it comes with enough, say, try 15 and see And then one of the things that we need to do is to make sure all the channel to be the same number. For this one, because we turn everything to black, so it doesn't really matter that you have whatever number it is, but one of the things is to make sure the angle of these channels is basically the same. So we can actually do 0 for all of them and see how it looks like. So maybe because it's too solid, so I can't see that, whether there's any effect on here. So what you can do is kind of say, this how I do the same. Can I apply opacity on it? So kind of, So I think the picture itself may not be okay. So let's see. Because I guess the point is that because this is too solid, so it's just like can be okay with working on that. Property. So let's see whether that is possible. Okay, I go to that. Maybe why it will come something like that. So maybe we'll try and do so do color half tone. I'm not so sure whether this is possible. And then we're going to change the opacity and see. Let's change. Okay, so in this way, try again. And say we do this pixelate happen. Okay, that's not this way. That means I have to change the opacity of it first, and then use that pixelate effect to create those dot effects. So it's a picture still, but we can use it. So let's try that. Expand the appearance and see whether it works or not. Let's see. No. It doesn't work that way. That means we have to say do this image tracing. And then we have to expand it. Okay, once we're done, then we can have it. Whether you still want to expand or not, but this turns out to be a screen. So again, once you have the screen, then you can put it in this spot color printing. You can use the screen printing to print. So this is one of the things that you can actually convert image into some kind of dot if you want to. So with this screen, with the dots, that could print with spot color. So that's the idea for that. So that's the way we're going to do it. Any questions with that? I know you got your own way to do things because you based on the design you have. You may not apply any half tone over there because you have everything is in solid color, whatever. You just want to do it that way. Or maybe you have something that looks like this. You want to do this like screening and to add the providing of color tones if you want to. But saving color numbers, of course. Or also maybe have some kind of special effect with that image you have. That could be another thing. So this is like up to how you do it, but those are the methods that you can do to kind of apply or to decide if we need that. I don't know, I don't know your case. But instead of just talk about it or by guessing what you have, I think the best way is like, you show me what you have. Then we can take a look. How are we going to get a print? So this is the most important thing, right? So we've got to get a print. So did you actually send the files to WeChat? If we do that, would that be possible that we can have to do that? Or maybe you can send it to me. I think every single time we've got a problem on sending it to me, so maybe send it to WeChat is probably possible. So we send a PDF to look at that. At least we look at what we got for that design instead of saying we have to have everything complete. Because after we have the design done, then we look at how we're going to actually create the mechanicals for it. Because mechanicals is like needs to be have kind of separation screens. With that, we can have the screen printing. If not, we can do that. Okay, how about that? Why don't you just send the files to me? Okay, the thing we just learned, you probably may not be completely understand, maybe you don't remember again. It's the best way that by the time when we're actually doing something like that, then we go to recap whatever we have, right? So again, we will be able to see the work, and we can talk about that, hey, how are we going to get that perfect? So just like, well, we did this before, like many years ago, like, one of my job is actually make sure everything will be fine when they go to the Surface Bureau, which is actually the step before the printer. That's what I told you about. In the States, they actually separate both things. Like, the Surface Bureau will finish some kind of pre-press thing first, and then the printer will just do the printing. Of course, now they're probably a little different right now, but somehow it's pretty much like that. They have different expertise on different things. So printer doesn't really want to take care too much of things. So, my job was like make sure things like go for the, like would be perfect, go to the Surface Bureau. But believe me or not, every single time, there's always something wrong. No matter what you're going to do, always something wrong. It's just somehow just like, why did that happen? I thought I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I'm pretty much I spot that. But somehow, at the end, it turned out to be just like wrong again. Even though for punctuation, interesting thing for punctuation. Whether it's a correct quotation mark or whether it's not, those like that. Or whether that is like right parenthesis, or this is like, could be wrong. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I don't have. I have to make sure that I double check. You hear some strange sound? It's like, submarine kind of underwater. Yes? I don't know. Oh, where's my It's really strange, right? Okay, I'm waiting. And then, where's our group? By the way, did we set up a group? Well, it takes a little longer to find. Yeah, just try to send message. It's not everyone here. I don't know whether we should set up a new group there or not. But I don't know whether you want to send it to AirDrop or not. Just take it in one place, you know, instead of go for 7 different places. That is always hard to find everything. If that's the case, if we just send it to, yeah, WeChat is better. Yeah, PDF. In this way, I don't have to care about whether you have the right, whether I have the right phone or not, whatever.欢迎。
我也要导 PDF。
我导出来，哎，我操，你为什么导出来你是黑色的呀？你是黑色，我知道啊。你怎么导出多页？我知道的。然后我转那个错了。
还要导出多页，导出多页只有什么多页？这个怎么导出？我多进几个号码，因为
他手里找。
第四年他这个。
So try to turn this over.
嗯？
Well, the first impression we have once we see the face of her, we say, oh, this is your video. Actually, it's not, because you are supposed like the designer for her. So I don't know who this piece is. Let me just look at it. So again, same thing. So what you want to express. So it's like rivals. So that means one thing you want to show to his rivals. Okay, I guess, you know, you've got a word there, so it is, who's the piece in this? Oh, she's gone, okay, we should just go with someone else. God. So we just go with someone else and go back to, come back. Take out this one. So this piece is yours, now okay, guys. But yeah, what do you want to express? He's the most wanted person, you know, he worth so much money. Then you want to sell his organs? No, I don't know why you need that. So because that's a lie, you know, it's like, looks like I hate him so much actually. Okay. Funny. Okay, so what do you really want to say? Like you want to express it like he says. A famous person, like worth so much money?
Yes.
Like what? Like Elon Musk? like, you know,
One piece. One piece.
so this is 1 million, right? So, no, it's not 1 million, 100 million. Yeah, 100 million.
Yes.
So it's like, this is US dollars. So he is a pirate, okay? So his personality is cheerful. One pirate is cheerful. So the pirate, so it's like, you know,
Pirate.
the pirate.
Yes.
So why pirates? Like, I don't know. Even lively and strange. It's also strange. This is quite strange actually, when you look at that. So it's like, looks like his arms like being tied, you know, kind of kept with somebody, like, you know, someone holding his arm. I know this is because, you know, you guys went to play football, so like,
Yeah.
this guy feels like, hey, I got goal. And then he just, I was so excited about it, maybe that's the situation about that. But whether it's the proper way to do this kind of thing, I don't know. But when I look at it, it's just hilarious.
This picture is because he's giving by a red card.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's
I don't know.
Actually, the angry face.
I-
去 Jerry 裁判。
对啊。
裁判，就 Jerry 裁判被打那一次。
Well, it's not too much to actually kind of criticize about the way how we show it. Maybe that's one thing you want to show it. In terms of, let's say design, maybe it'd be a little bit awkward that when we look at, the background texture is fine, but I think his arm is a little bit strange on this way. If we really want to frame him, maybe say, you actually just frame it.
Okay.
So if you frame it, it don't feel so odd. If you have something kind of penetrate the frame, looks like you were talking about this is like some kind of like strange, like dimensional look for this whole thing. Looks like he is right between the frame, but somehow it's not. I mean, right between the frame and background, but somehow it's not. So this is really strange on this way. So maybe it's a little bit awkward when you have his arms stick out. Maybe just cut it. I mean, that probably better. And I'm not so sure. You know, for the hat maybe because it's black and the black, so not too much. But somehow I guess the hands you have maybe is better. All that and kind of crop it right here. Looks like both hands is right underneath the frame, so make this look like a picture, just like that.
Okay.
I got stick out of the hat. And 1 color, 2 color, 3 color. Actually, how many colors you have with this one?
3.
You sure it's 3?
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3. How many background?
That.
So that is the tint of that blue, is that right? Or maybe
Yes.
the red? I don't know what's that.
The dark blue.
The blue? Okay, so this blue, you actually, this is a tint color of the blue.
The text blue.
The text,
Yeah, that's not black. That is dark blue.
that is blue? Wow, that really dark. So okay, so you got this like 1, 2, 3, and that belongs to that. So how many percent for this one actually? How many percent tint? 30. 30% tint. If you turn it to screens, how it looks like? Yeah, and technically we turn it to screens, then we'll be able to print out. But the point is, if you turn the screen, with that tint, I mean with those like dark kind of like merge with whatever those lines you have, would that be awful looking? I don't know. It's really hard to say. It may be. So remember that we have to turn that to be, dark. Again, if we apply those screens, like the one we have here, remember that? Like the one we have here. So how would it look like? So with this one is 50%. So yours is 30%. So it's like you got further that. than this one. But somehow that could be, say, what are we supposed to say? That could be like kind of BC by the time when we have it for whatever So I'm not so sure if you apply that color onto that, what we're gonna do, we can try it and see. But one of the things you definitely have to do is, like, you may have to turn the background to those dark in order to print it at the end. And maybe you have to even go for a little bit lighter. Let's say 10%, 20%, 10% maybe. You know, in order to get those screens, maybe. I'm not so sure, you know, because we don't want those screens to be so busy. That's probably the way it is. Okay, so we might have to turn it. Okay, I know this is just basically asking for, you know, you have the mechanical ready. I'm not ready, I mean the design ready, but somehow we're going to do mechanical. But at the end, if you will create the mechanicals, you have to create the registration mark, remember that? So at the end, that's probably the next step you have to do. You know, that circle and it goes together, the registration. And then you apply the registration color on it. You know, remember that on the swatch we have, the swatch panel, we have the registration color, which is typically in black, but somehow we use that to apply here because we need that. Will show up on every single color screen you have. If we do that, even though you automatically do it, so we apply the color onto that, so you know, we know that's for registration. Okay, since you were not here before, then we should go back to here. Okay, so we go back to ribbons. So who's pleasing? Yours or not? Oh, okay. So this is something you want to show her, right? Just ribbons. So sometimes you may not be a good term. Wide. Sometimes we may correlate that to wide. Really wild, whatever, somehow, I don't know. Rabbit is like sometimes super kind of energetic, okay? So got a lot like, you know, energy, whatever, you know, rabbit. So I guess this is supposed to show that, so you make the screen, you make the background like that, right? Just like give you all this like energy look, whatever. Okay, that's good to do. But a couple small things, tiny things that we may want to do is like, well, you know, have you ever tried to put this text touched the border here? It looks pretty bad because we won't pay attention on this area here if that's the case. So move it toward and put it here. That helps to get rid of this tiny area that, you know, causes problem. The other thing for the background, I'm not against with some kind of uniform, but somehow, if you can create those like white ellipse to be, make those white ellipse to be a circle, it may even look better. Basically, we look at circle is kind of more comfortable than what we see this like oval shape already, you know, or ellipse shape, whatever. So those could be, the stars are good, you know. I think the positive negative transparent gradation is kind of interesting. The other thing is like, for selling, if we do this in, I don't know whether that's true or not, because if we try to make a better, whatever, face of her, those lines on her face seems to be so even. You know, if they're little even, we look at these, it's more like a high contrast kind of image. If we can have something kind of come a little bit, you know, say different kind like sizes, probably better. Different sizes, say, let's say this yellow plate we have, but this side here maybe is thinner, and this may be thicker, and maybe other is like super thin, whatever. If we do that, we see the contrast on the color plate itself will be a little bit better in terms of the dimensional look of that, even though we try to create, say, high contrast feel. So if that's the case. The hair, the shirt, they're fine. Except her face, I guess, that could be a little bit changing. If we do this whole thing in Photoshop, we can actually adjust the level and change the contrast on the face, even though they are high contrast. So in this way, it probably look a little better. What I'm saying, just say, try to make the thing look better. And besides the brightness, I don't really have to add other, I don't know, but it depends, you know. You may say, I just don't want to do that. I want to make a huge ribbon wood here across the whole thing. Then you can even enlarge this wood, make it bigger. And then put right behind her, and then maybe some actually show up from here with some kind of gradation, and somehow that may be look even better. I don't know, this depends. So this is one of the things. In terms of the production, I know, you know, for the production, we probably have to put the chrome out, registration mark later, we probably want to do it. But one of the things you may have to think about whether you have to bleed or not. Remember we talked about it before. Say you have something touch the edge, touch the border, you have to make sure you have the bleed. So for your case, it's easy to do it. What you have to do is that you make sure the artboard is smaller than whatever image you have. So what you could do is as you select an image, make it slightly bigger, which maybe is 105% larger than what you have right now. That is good enough for cover this like blade requirement. And it won't affect your image that much. So this is one of the things that, you know, even though there's afterthought, they did before is like, this is one of the trick that the printers always say, hey, why don't we just make it even 1% larger? Just do 1% larger, you know. Basically, you won't see the difference with your like bare eyes. You won't see that, you know. That's any problem. But somehow it does work because you know we need the blade anyway. You know, if we really need that, so we can do the blade. And also it helps to kind of fix the problem here because those are tiny white areas here make things just a little bit hard to kind of like not pay attention for. So it will cause some unnecessary attention for the whole thing. You know, we don't need that. I guess that's what we talk about. Right? Okay. Yeah. Question for that? Is it okay? Okay, we're done with this. Okay, we go to slide or whatever. Okay, so is it Russian? Huh?
Yeah.
Is it Russian name? Because cooler? You know, Russian name. No, we don't call it Linsiski, whatever. The president of Ukraine. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But it's like, okay, one of them. Terminating 2, we talk about maybe the 2 needs to be a little bit bigger because it's kind of weird that you look at the 2 is, why is 7 getting so small compared with the rest of those? It looks like this is not comfortable. And why? Because maybe we always feel like things need to be perfect, like line up perfectly, kind of like, you know, incised the same as the rest of them. So you can separate these 2 and put the 2 kind of a little bit apart from whatever the terminator would. So keep a little space, this will work. Or maybe you even can make 2 bigger because that 2 looks like you want people to focus. But again, if you don't use 2, you can use something else. NX, whatever, you know, kind of whatever. And also I think for the name here, if you don't want people to pay too much attention, maybe you can expand it, actually touch the border. Then you will see, oh, a touch border is basically, we will pay more attention on the figure instead of the word. But again, you know, the word itself is in red, you know, calls attention. Sometimes, like, I don't know, would that be like too much in terms of the color contrast you have right now? If you have something kind right between this and that, maybe. I guess you already did this, like you make everything so dark, you know, that red and black kind of match in some sense, but when we look at the whole thing, the primary color you have is actually blue in a very dark tone, or maybe even black, I don't know. The black is actually the background, and then the blue is here, in the red. Okay, so you got 3 colors here. I feel like this area here seems to be a little bit not really say empty because you actually fill that with color, which is black. But somehow the feel about it is a little bit too empty. Maybe this is like too quiet. Maybe that would be something you guys put here that help to actually make this area more like being kind of filled up with something. Because sometimes you know, when we look at this, we do have a sense about this a little bit too empty. Somewhere here. Not saying you have to make things so busy, but somehow it seems like too empty. It looks like it's like lack of something. Remember we kind of talk about, I guess you know, we talk about the conscious harmony. We talk about this like graphic tension kind of field before. So if we have something comfortable, so kind of light, so a little bit, because the empty means somehow this area is kind of boring because there's nothing here. Let's sort of some kind of like, you know, elements here, looks like this is just too empty. If you put some elements here, make it a little bit more interesting, then you actually balance out this conscious harmony, the relationships, make the thing more like, turns out to be more like, you know, intact, more like, you know, more interesting, probably you would say that. So, if you add a little bit more thing, I think you allow, I mean, these composition right now would allow you to add a little bit more things. It will help things probably better. That's just what I'm saying. The 5 power seems like weak. That's what we talk about. You know. Not saying you have to change it, but somehow once it turns to M16 sort of like that, or machine guns guy, maybe even powerful with that pistol here. Even though this is not like that kind of pistol, but somehow, you know, this is like not really. I don't know. Maybe it's bigger. I don't know. No, the Magnum, whatever. You know, even though it's so like that, maybe more powerful than I guess before. It's a kind of cool. Maybe even make you know the whole thing bigger. I guess a little bit. Yeah, that overlapping area could be a little bit long. I mean, longer, bigger, whatever. You know, that could be. Okay, so have you ever thought about? Yes, this is red. This is black. This is blue. Right on his body. Would that be if, let's say, you apply some red on it? Would that even better? Could be. I mean, because it's like, oh, the red is actually bring up the relationship between the name of this guy, Terminator, and also this figure. If you're using color to do that, maybe it has that you know, kind of function. Let's say on somewhere on the gun, could be, or somewhere on his whatever, you know, body or shirt, whatever you can apply that. That would be even kind of like whatever the theme with whatever the terms you give to them. And also it helps for the kind of balance. Look, the whole thing looks more intact maybe. So that could be something to think about. Okay, besides that, again, the bleed issue we got to think about. You know, when we go to print, quote marks, registration mark, and the bleed, you may have to create even a little bit bigger background for whatever it is. So that's part of the case. Any comment, anything? Let's talk about. So questions about this is like, this is black, this is red, and I believe his body is in blue, right? And how about the light blue? Is that in another color? Yeah. Or is that going to be, you know, a tint color for this blue here or not? We only allowed to have 3 colors, right? 3 spot colors. If we've got red, black, and the blue, already 3 colors. So if you're not going to do tint on the light color here, or maybe even though you have one even lighter, then that will be a problem because you go beyond the limit of the colors that we allow to have, right? So you may want to trim this and this. You already did, I guess, but somehow for the production, you may have to turn this to screen, and that's a lighter screen as well. So in that way, you can use the same blue, but somehow being kind, convert to a screen that will be okay to print. So this is the technical work you have to do later. So you may have to apply to screen time. Okay, so what you try to do? Who's working? Okay, what you have to try to do? She's got a very long hand. I don't know. This is her palm, yes? Or maybe the angle looks like, don't see, it's like that long. It's actually the basic thing as her face, whatever. So is that, so she's like a salute, or what she's like? She's like hiding, let's say, try to cover her eyes against the sun. I don't know what's that. You don't know, but you create a whole thing. What kind of theme you want. Instead of like using words, you use her image. You show whatever face with some kind of posture or gesture she has to show some kind of personality. It looks like that's the way. So what you want to tell people. So what's the theme of this one? What you want to, what kind of image you want you to be like in our mind? Like what? Just a pose, but it should come with some kind of like, substance. I guess, we should have some kind of like, deeper thought about what she is, and that's just what we talk about. We want to project the image to people that, just want to tell people. She is actually a forward-thinking person, whatever. If that case, because it's like, oh, I look at like the Wukong, look at the future. Hey, this is the road we're going to the west side, whatever. So this is like looks like she kind of looking on this way. I don't know whether that's true or not. And that is what lightning, right? Like lightning, is that right? I don't know. Looks like she got the idea about what's. Hey, when you look at future, I know what is going to happen. If you tell me that story, that's acceptable for something like that. But instead of telling me nothing, and I don't know how I'm going to get there. So this is what I want to ask you, because what we see is like she's like looks like slightly off, whatever the focus looks like. She's not really looking like forward. It looks like a little bit like look at the side a little bit, I guess. Right? But with those like lightning, with her gesture, postures like that, and she just like show people, whatever she's looking on that way, and then you got the stars as what the background. But we just don't know. I guess the point is that you may want to fill up some space with it, but somehow the dots should have some kind of like meaning. If we want to put those dots there, you should talk to some kind of meaning, right? Or maybe say, I don't really give it a very thoughtful thought about it, but those supposed to be some kind, metaphor you put over there. Because we talk about we use it so limited, like images, whatever, to kind of tell a story to people, to promote her, say, goodness, or promote her image, whatever, in that case, those things turn to be metaphors. Those needs to be something that maybe you want that to people, for people to kind of see that, then they will understand her in whatever way. Yes, I know there's a background, but somehow we have to think on that way. Why you want to do things like that. Every single visual element you have here, it means some reasons to be there. If not, it doesn't really make sense. So those maybe you kind of think about what to do. So you see her name here, and you have the arrow pointing to her, then that comes with some kind of reason supposed to be. Okay? Okay, technical issue. So how many colors you got here? 1, They're not, right? This one is actually this one, right? Am I right? So this one is the primary color, is that right? One. And then you have that green, okay? And then you have what? Yellow? I know that's yellow or not? Okay, it's the yellow. So those are the basic color. Then I have a question. How about this pink? Is the pink extract from the red? Means like this is the tint color of the red or not? Okay, so if that is, okay, so you got to turn that to screens. So how many percent of this red in this pink is actually it? So how many percent of this red? That pink is actually extract from this red, right?
Yeah.
So how many percent of this? So you may want to check it. It looks like this is like, it doesn't really look like that red. Maybe on here is better. On the projection here, maybe it's a little bit problem, I guess. Then we want to check it. Maybe say 60% for the red whatever, things like that. Then you have to turn those to screens. Once you turn the screen, the question comes out is like, her face, you know, I mean, talk about after everything being print. Her face would come with some kind of like dot patterns. Looks like this. Yeah, so that is something you have to think about. So whether you want to use dot pattern as a screen, or maybe you use something else. Remember, we showed the screen, we talked about we can use lines. You can do that. If you still do that, as long as you turn it to sort of some kind of like halftone, fine. It could be in lines, it could be in texture even. So it depends how you see it. As long as you find a way to print it with the same color, because at the end they have to be the same color. Once you turn it to a screen, the entire tone looks like lighter than whatever we got here. Because it's 100% is completely solid. But this one, it comes with dots, or maybe lines with some kind of empty space, whatever. So that's also this screen. So once you've got the screen, you got to think about which screen you're going to use it against with the background now. So how it looks like, better choice, whatever, then you got to think about. And some area here, yeah, because it's so tiny, it's not that big. So maybe you got some dots here, it may not be that. I can't say, you know, it may be easy to come up with something that's not considered perfect. Because these areas are so small. So that's another thing. And bleed, another thing we talk about what to do. Bleed for this one. And then those marks. Remember bleed? Yeah, so you may enlarge the whole thing to fit the bleed requirement. It's so easy, as long as you bleed. And the other thing is like those dots also needs to be bleed. So I mean that is something that you have to. The marks, you know, what mark, registration mark, those things. Okay. Wow, what do you want to tell? Who's speaking? Who's speaking? Is yours? Okay, so you are doing that. Okay. You can even tell who is this. Okay. So what you're trying to say? She's like what? Just a game. Does she have anything to do with the game? I don't know. Oh, she likes playing games. So why being kind of melt? Like it looks like those things are like being melted down. I don't know. It looks like turns out to be like wow. I don't know. It is supposed to be like lipsticks kind of being melted. I don't know. Sometimes I look at those things like what is that? So that's a question. And that kind, if you say game, it kind of feels like she's got this like full whatever. How would say that? Full life? Because if one get like less, one heart less, then you may see light guy getting like dangerous or whatever things like that. So you got full light here, and then she is like looking at this way. It looks like oh, backward. Okay. How many colors you have? Red, green. Sorry, the black. There's one kind of green. This is like some kind of pink. So there's 3 colors. And how about this one? Is this one the same as this one? So just lighter? Okay. All right. So if that's the case, then what else? It looks like. Oh, maybe on here is like easy to understand. I guess on here is a little hard because the projection. Okay. So you know about if you have to turn it to mechanical, you have to turn those to be dots. You turn those to be the screens. Is that right? Turn to be something like that. If not, you won't be able to print. So you need to turn that to be the screens. If not, it's a problem. The other thing, I'm not so sure if you turn those to screens, whether those like A-list look, whatever, but the edge of those like images here, would there be a problem once you have that? So your screen could be in what? Instead of using dots, maybe you can use squares, a diamond shape, whatever. You know, if that's the case, maybe you can actually solve that kind of problem because it's squares, and this guy looks logical. If that's the case. One tiny thing is like, again, you know, for this one, you leave a tiny kind of border right between the real border and those text here. Maybe eliminate whatever that border just by moving this all the way, touch the edge, and maybe we can keep looking on these kind of a little bit irritating for the edge here because it really causes attention. There's nothing here. So maybe just move it like that. So just like this one. Look, really kind of crop out. You can crop a little bit, I guess you can. But somehow you can move it so close to the border. It could be. So in that way, it may work, whatever. But this is really like give you something else, especially, you know, it will cause a little bit attention about this. Hey, what's on her mouth? Or what's in her mouth, or whatever. And then the Y is actually kind of come out from directly from the mouth. Looks like she's having some kind of like very interesting cigarette, whatever. I don't know. Because when you look at that, because the texture it comes with looks like is like the cigarette butt here actually. I don't know. So sometimes when I look at that, it's like, oh wow, if you see it's like a little wild. I don't know. I don't know whether you want that to happen or not. But this is like look at it, especially when you have those like more like a melting effect of those like symbols here. It kind of gives people about personality, maybe image, in that kind of little wild kind of feel about. I guess it's up to you. One more thing, if it's possible, you know, if some lighter green actually show up somewhere a little more, it's like the spatial color. So maybe add something like that. I think that maybe it gives her face a little more like three-dimensional look instead of right now a little bit flat because you've got a big spot of color like that big. It's a little bit kind of rather feeling flat instead of dimensional. So with a little bit more, I guess those like light greens that can help to create more dimensional look to the whole thing. Okay, you got the braid. Okay, you got that registration, but that registration is missing. There's one registration missing. All right, move on. So I just close all this. Okay, I guess that's you, but somehow you make that who made this. You may, oh, you may. I don't know, because it takes a little bit longer to understand that's her. Maybe a little bit arbitrary, because the sort of like texture you have on this area, if you tell people she's actually having a bite of a chicken wing or chicken leg, whatever, a chicken nugget, I don't know. It looks like nobody can tell what is it, because you told me before, so I can't understand. But see, if somebody look at it, it's like a little hard to tell. Maybe because she only gives you this image and nothing else, I don't know. But, okay, recording life, enjoy life. So I guess that's something we want to tell people, I guess. Brave, great effort, independent, whatever those like maybe. Okay, if that's the terms of that. But with this image, would they be able to tell the whole story like that? I think a little hard. That's just like, maybe it's a good idea that if you just want to show one thing, it may not be one thing, maybe something closer, maybe several things put together to show a general kind, like general image, or maybe a general personality, whatever. Then you may want to cut down some wordings. Say, you say, record life, enjoy life, okay, fine, you know. Those things, would that be necessary to be there, since you want to tell people that you can enjoy life? Because from this image, these wording may match a little bit better, but with those, a little hard to pick it, because those like meaning is actually not reflecting from the image itself. So that is something maybe you should think about. Okay, so that is the thing you're going to put over there. Technical issue. Couple of things could be even turn better looking, maybe say move with enjoy, actual touch lies here. You know, looks like this is one main object. You have something kind spread out from the whatever the main object side that make them belongs to be one thing closer, more intact, but also with something heavy, something light, something big, something small together, kind of work a little bit better together. So try that and see if you move it, touch the border and see how it looks like. Suppose the text here. You know, maybe, I guess, you know, that could be also try to do that as well. And how many colors for this one? The black, the red, and then is that the yellow? The reason why I brought up is like, I guess this light red is actually extracted from here. And this color can be extracted from the red as well, seriously. Yes, it's slightly different, but once you turn to say 5% of this red maybe, it may have a very similar tone. It may. So if you try, the reason why I keep saying that, because again, you know, we keep talking about which, you know, we always say, what was the budget? Sometimes if you be able to handle the thing with the same amount of money, why not just do it, you know? Sometimes it's like that, instead of give like, oh, extra money for put something, consider extra, but somehow in technical way, it could be something that come from the same source. If that's the case, why we have to spend money for doing something on that way? So that's the question. So this is something that could be. If you say this is a yellow one, you know, individual yellow color, fine, you know, you can just keep it. So this my question for you, then you think about it. Okay, so the other thing is the bleed. Again, you know, a very simple way to just make this bigger, slightly bigger, maybe 2%, whatever, 101.102%, whatever. Then you can actually have this little bigger, and they put it aside, and then we have the little crop mark and registration mark. All right. The other thing we just mentioned about, besides whatever the chicken nuggets is eating or chicken eggs is eating. Even though for her face, look at on this side, on her. You know, they're a little bit even in terms of those strokes here, or the area, or any color area, a little bit more even. If you have one is like thick, one is thin, then you know that way you probably see the contrast look a little better that way. So by adjusting the level of this like say contrast, you probably can do that and make it a little bit different. Okay. Outgoing. That means like if somebody's outgoing, that means somebody is to listen to music casually. I don't know. So I think that is a philosophy right behind it. I don't know. But okay, so it's outgoing and whatever. I mean, the point is, yes, it's okay that I express like or maybe describe someone on this way. Fine. Even though they're a little bit, I can't say it's contradict, but somehow it's not quite related to each other, that's the one I say. But by looking at these, looks like she is actually enjoying listening to the music instead of say outgoing. Because the image itself, when you look at it. Is it your piece or her piece? Your piece. Oh, so this is like, I think this is like another way to kind of listen to whatever so-called music could be from something we call it from the environment, or maybe from the universe, whatever. Not really, like because we don't see anything that related to whatever those like earplug, earphone, whatever those things. We don't see that. So she's like holding hands, kind of looks like she's listening something, maybe from our whatever environment. Who knows, That could be could be considered real music, that even, let up the entire feel about the thing. So it looks like more like, high class kind of listening, whatever to music. I don't know if that's how it's called. But the outgoing doesn't really feel in that way. That's why I say that. So I guess the point is like to make people more easy understand what you want to say. You may want to kind of like limit the whole thing to some like not too many things at the same time. You limit the number of those things you want to tell people. You don't want to tell people everything at the same time because they can't get it. And especially again when we look at this, it's like, well, we may focus on the image first. So by looking at the image, then you look at those wordings. Kind of feel, well, whether they are really matching each other or not. We may have questions or something like that if that's the case. So instead of saying everything here, that maybe is good to kind of make people feel like, oh, it's one thing. So actually, in a more like transcend, in a more like, spiritual kind of feels about the listening to whatever the sounds from the world considered as the music. If that's the case, you make people feel like she even like more like, mentality is kind of even kind of got higher compared with somebody or deeper, whatever, or more kind of like, mature, whatever, things is like that, depends. So once you put everything together like this, like in this number, too many at the same time, so people a little bit hard to understand the whole thing. Again, that's a thing. By looking at the image you have, by reading those texts you have, maybe I would suggest you think about maybe cut down the numbers of those texts instead of saying that many, which is limit to something or 1, 2, that's probably good enough. And in that way, it's powerful enough to kind of transcend her or ration her personality or image. That's I can't say it's more than enough, but somehow I think it's enough. Okay, so it's like that. And I got a question when I look at this area here. It's still a little bit interesting, but confused. But when I look at this particular area, I feel even more confusing because are you telling people to got this like whatever some kind of like, problem on her, whatever. They go here, what? Does she got pain or something like that? I don't know when you look at this. See what I'm saying? Like she's just like, I don't know what you want to tell people that she's a little bit different on her. Here, whatever, I don't know what's going on. So this is what we talk about. It's like, is that a problem? I don't know. Okay, so those color you apply on it could be considered a sign for a particular reason. Could be considered something you want people to pay attention on it. So that's the reason I say it. Okay. Okay, by looking at this, how many colors do you have? Is that 2? How many colors do you have? You have the yellow, and then you have the blue. Or maybe, is that purple? Oh, it's blue, yeah, right? So you got blue and yellow, and what else? So you know, if I'm right, that means you need one more color actually.
Trees, so it's you.
So this what? This is an old one? Oh, you got this new one. You check. Sorry. So this one? This one?
Yes.
So who got this one? Oh, this one didn't receive yet. All right, so we can turn over this first. Okay, now we got the 3 colors. All right, this is what I'm saying. You know, try to mention about it again one more time. Say the white is not a color, okay? White won't be. Oh, wow, screen printing. Yes, white could be a color. The white is something that they're not going to print. So in that case, we typically not going to call white as a color. White is like the paper color. We don't care about it. We care about what we got for those like pigments, which is 1, 2, 3 different pigments. Okay, so that's one thing. Why is a little bit yellow here? Yellow skin? Or maybe just the projection issue? So bleed marks, then we talk about that, right? We got to do later. What is that? So I guess this one we also need to. So is that something you already turned in or what? Okay, so this is already be there, so did you change it? What's different between this one and this? Oh, how about this one? No. Okay, so fine. We just have that. So look at that one. We'll say, okay, what do you want to see here? What type of personality is this? What do you want to tell people? So whose piece is your piece? Okay, so what do you want to tell?
I want to tell she's a lively and optimistic girl.
Oh, is it really optimistic? I don't know. I think that it really depends. So it's like, whatever, it depends, Yes. Okay, so that is like, at least you don't feel she's sad, and then I think that's okay. Besides that is like, with those like, so point 9 plain sky, I want to say point 9 plain, the reason why, because it's a little bit hard to say how we're going to describe those things here. Images kind very busy in some sense, but somehow it's not messy, which is kind of give you feeling about there's a lot of things going on, looks like that, it gives some kind of energetic feels about it. If you say she's kind of always like forward-thinking person, you know, very optimistic with whatever her life, whatever though could be, you know, because energetic feeling can project this kind of feeling, could be. So I guess it's the same, but when you look at her face, it doesn't feel on that way that much because she kind of like, I don't know whether this is a perfect picture or not, but somehow I guess a little bit hard to find, since you may have to retake the picture or reshoot the picture again. So she's kind of like, whatever, got the feelings like everything kind of mellow. Mellow means it's not really serious, not really kind of feel kind of miserable, or means like, you know, mellow is like, life is okay, things is like mellow, I enjoy whatever the things is like, that just to kind of give you the feelings about it. So I guess, you know, image is quite important, that whether the image actually tell the story or not, things like that. So I guess with just one word, which is her name, is that right? And without getting other things, maybe, I know, you know, the best solution is definitely, you know, if the image itself can tell the whole story, you don't need to put extra words there, fine, that's what we understand. But in some cases, putting one particular word, it may not be a bad thing, that as some kind of background combined with whatever those images here, because it's a little hard to tell what's on the back there. Looks like everything related to what? Alcohol. You see, beer, alcohol, I don't know whether you realize that or not. Those post notes, maybe I don't want to go poster, maybe bills that we have right on the back, is actually related to some kind of like, that kind of thing, alcohol. So if we will read that, what they feel about her, is she drunk? You know, she's kind of like, oh, I just drink too much. Who knows? So when she kind of feel a little bit dizzy about it, that can kind of explain things like that. So I don't know. And perhaps you say, oh, sway. What's that sway? What means? So I know her name is Sway, whatever. But what's Sway? Sway is his. That's Sway. Okay. So with the background, with alcohol, with her like look. With this word, what are you going to feel about that? She go to the bar all the time, and then she got drunk. So she drink a lot. That's what are you going to feel about it. So it's a little bit hard to understand when you say she's actually what. Say what you want to project inside. Forward looking? No. She's like enjoying life or what? She's like let's say kind of optimistic, like we say, right? Okay. So it looks like, we can't view it another way because, I don't know, because when you see those images, you can't. We move on. Okay, technical issue. Black, blue, and the red. Okay, that's fine. If you be able to cut down the ratio of the red even, that means like, get a little bit more get a little bit less red, maybe even better for the whole thing because it looks like the red a little bit too much in terms of color balance. That's one thing. The other thing is when we do this cropping again, you guys have this bleed missing. So you may want to expand, enlarge the background a little bit bigger to kind of spread out a little more to finish the bleed requirements. If you do registration like this, it's okay in the, say, offset printing. But if you use those for the, say, silkscreen printing, it may be a problem because you see, from this distance, how we use them to do the line thing up things, how we do the registration work. Because they're supposed to be like overlapping perfectly. Because those marks are just too tiny and a little bit kind of too much inside for those like lines and shapes, whatever you have, it's really hard to use them to line things up perfectly. So this may not be a very good idea for the registration marks. If you can draw by yourself, it actually helps you so much. Because think about, if you have screen like this, how are you going to have the registration mark be seen like this small on here? it's almost impossible. So you can use it for that as an aid for doing line thing ups. It's really hard. So that's the thing. So maybe instead of doing 8 of those, right, you just do 2 big ones. Big one down on the bottom, another on the top, whatever. That's it. So yeah, the registration from that, illustrator just look like that. That may not be a good idea. Okay, any question? Okay, you again, totally different images. 3 color character poster design. What is that? Why you put there? So is that always on her mind? So those things doesn't need to be there. And what about this?
Okay, it doesn't mean.
So yeah, that maybe, instead of putting, because it's too small, they can't even tell what's there. And the date here looks like what? What is that? Why so special for her? Is there some kind like, memorial thing? I don't know. Is some kind of anniversary there for her? I don't know. Is it birthday? I don't know. So those things. I don't know what that. Okay, so this is more like, something you see. Why it goes like round? Is it a mirror?
That's a circle.
You show just. Okay, so if you do that, well, I guess you can do that, but somehow it's like, maybe, let's say, make the whole head and face smaller, and make these oval a little bit smaller as well. Then you can see the edge, maybe. Or maybe you don't want to do that, then just completely kind of bleed outside whatever this frame that you have. That both way may work a little better than right now everything is more like pretty much confined. I don't know why. So it looks like you can limit whatever like aprons, whatever, or presents, whatever, something like that. It's really hard to say what's that. So and when we being forced to look at that, looks like we kind of have the feelings like she looks like this like old Japanese. The reason why, because you see that it's like the bowl hat, not right behind whatever her hat, whatever it looks like, that's something else. So we don't know what is it. So it's a little hard to tell because it's too arbitrary. It's hard to tell. Okay, then you have 2 kind. I think that earrings is right. And then after 2 stars come out in different colors, look like wow, this is so different, It kind of remind you of something, looks like that's the thing. I guess, for the color balance issue, maybe that purple and orange is not only showing up on here, but also showing up in somewhere, that they make things like kind of balanced out. Because right now, we would pay attention on these 2 spots. Definitely. Because the color is kind of like, dull and dark, we probably won't pay too much attention on that. We may consider that as some kind of background. It's not like other things. So that may cause more attention. So to be able to give people a feeling about you don't only focus on these and this, then maybe kind of share whatever the color of the red and orange on somewhere and make it feel more like balanced out. Okay, the other thing is like, how many colors you actually have?
3.
You sure?
I will pause here. The areas.
So you will change it back to 1 color? Is that right?
Just 3 colors.
Okay, so you may want to do that, or maybe the other way again, we talk about change it to a half tone. Tint color. For either color you want. You may even do this without say the blue can be, if you want to give, depends, you have this in black. How about this one? This in gray, right?
Blue.
That's in blue.
Yeah.
So that means you have two kinds of blues, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to define which one is which. Okay, so if you have two kinds of blue, you totally have, if that light blue is actually extract from the dark blue. If that's the case, you talk about that as one color. And then the earring, two colors. And then the black, totally four colors. So if you want to cut down the number of the colors, depends which one you cut down. The other way you could do it is what? Turn those extra color to tint color. So if you use one blue, like this blue, you can actually tint this blue to be something extract from this blue by copy the same blue, but turn it to maybe say about 30-40%, whatever. But if for printing, you have to turn that to screen, half-tone screen. So that's an extra work. Of course, you can do that easily. It won't be a problem. You have to know about the theory behind that. So, but you have to keep that in mind. If you have a big area filled with those tiny dots, would you like it or not? You have to look at how it looks like. Because that is the way for printing. But somehow it may not be like, aesthetically pleasing, whatever, depends, So it depends on what you think about it. So you may take a look at how it looks like. So check it and see. If you said, I want to keep those colors, but then you have to think about how to deal with that. Maybe you just keep the paint, turn the orange to the tint color of the paint.
I cut on the orange right now.
No, but the point is like you have to go back to the arrangement like that. So this is the thing, try to find a way to deal with this. Okay? And yeah, on here maybe the wording here could touch more, or maybe say could be pulled down a little bit more, or make it bigger and make it overlap with the head a little bit more. Right now, it's barely touched, looks like it's so irritating, looks like so weird. So maybe they completely detached from each other, or maybe they are a little bit more overlapping on each other. So it depends which way. But now it's a little bit weird, looks like it's called more like, a careful mistake more than you intentionally put it on that way. So there's one thing that can do that. I guess for that, her name could be larger. Even though those like spaces between letters, which is we call cunning, remember that term, could be reduced a little bit. So you can actually reduce the distance between those, like among all these letters. Make it tighten, but somehow you can occupy that space even though you make it larger. So in that way, it could make some of the problem. I know once you take this thing out, you may have to replace something. Well, here, maybe just a little bit, but you could have something else, but depends on what kind of thing you want to put over there. I think for those things, they are not really turn out right, because, looks like those things doesn't really do anything with her image, unless you have your own explanation with that. I don't know, but you've got to tell me about it. So if you found out they are not necessary to be there, then replace with something else you think is properly supposed to be proper, supposed to be right to be there. So just up to how you think. But again, what and why we work out this one, we try to have a poster to actually telling people story, telling people or showing people personality, showing people image, or the showing people the righteous image, whatever, Those are things that, of course, just like many years ago, those are famous people, they do this portrait painting. They always show people say, I am just like a growing person, whatever. I'm just like, magnificent. I'm just like, someone's like very bright. I'm someone just so great, whatever. So this is why they do that, because they want to show people that they are in that kind of, say, image or whatever. So I guess similar things, you know, we're doing this here, you just try to tell people who the person is, like, you know, the personality, the witness, whatever the image, whatever. Those things want to help you with this. All right, so move on. Okay, Sherlock. So, did he try to figure out something wrong is happening? And he's thinking about, oh, he is actually doing prayer?
No, you see, just most several posts of Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, put that, whatever.
No.
I don't know, because when I look at that, it's like, okay, how would that relate to Sherlock? Okay, the greatest detective. So he looks like that. You sure? Not Harry Potter?
No.
All right, so okay, so the word makes people feel like that. What's this?
Harry.
So is his name what?
Yeah, his name.
His name, okay. So, so is that one entire name supposed to be? Or you
Yeah.
want people to feel he is Sherlock?
Yeah.
And then maybe in that word it could be something else. I don't know. In front of people, which is his name, the shadow come out from the name is Sherlock. I don't know, maybe that is one way that they show people. He is him, whatever. Or could be, I don't know. Or maybe actually this guy project, whatever, the wording, whatever, there could be another way.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say it because it looks like, I can't say this is the only way to do it, but somehow maybe more acceptable way than what you got right now, because you put the name side by side is a little hard to. I know you have this to tell what he is, okay, fine, but somehow by looking at the word, why I ask you about it, right? Because this is one person's name and the person's name, they don't have really any connection right now, except the colors. Yeah. So, and we also criticize, say, hey, one is actually bigger than the other one and much more larger than the other one. Then how they kind of be parallel, how they be collected together, say, you want people kind of have this connection between him and him. So that's the thing, but they are not kind of like equal. So we want people to project his, feel that his image could be projected into whatever that guy, like Sherlock, then you want to have this kind of like matchable kind of look. Now looks like they are not really kind of interlocking. They're just like two separate things side by side put together. We have to find a connection between them. So this is one thing, I guess, maybe you can do a little bit about that. How to kind of tie two together in the sense about a projection of his image. I guess it's one thing. And that is a very special gesture. Instead of, say, deliberately thinking about things, or he is doing some kind of praying, whatever. So I just don't know. I guess this is like, could be confusing in that because the gesture itself. I'm not sure, maybe that's only my personal thing. I'm not sure whether it's that. But I guess it's like a little bit that it may feel that way. The other thing I talk about this all the time is like, I guess it's also for everyone. A lot of people may have this problem. When you like turn this to some kind of like high contrast figure, those like light and shadow can easily come to something so even. In that way, we make the whole thing looks like a little bit flat or maybe a little bit strange. So let's say the yellows kind of area here, maybe we can do a little bit more like this area is bigger than this is like narrower. So that means like the shape looks like not that even anymore. So that would suggest more dimensional look instead of something so flat. So this is something you can actually physically change it or twist it. Let's say even though you do it in Illustrator, you can change, that vector line size, then you can actually change it and make it smaller here, or whatever. Then you can give a little suggestion about volume and say, oh, something flat. So that's the one thing. And also, if we have things that come so evenly, so it may also be a little bit boring by looking at that. It's not that exciting, things like that. Okay, this is got red. So it's a brown color, is that right?
Yeah, bro.
Brown, yellow, and that is what? Kind of overlapping or what? Oh, it's also yellow.
Also yellow.
So you got one color, two color, three colors.
Yeah.
All right, so some area here is actually transparent, so that red actually helps.
Some highlights.
All right, so it's fine. A couple of things like bleed, registration mark, and crop marks. Those things. Again, when we assign the crop marks and registration mark, make sure we have it in registration color. Registration color on the swatch, right? On the swatch page. Ah. Is that? Is that right? Okay, so what you do? They were consulting a dentist?
Yeah, and I want to show her characteristic is she's very cheerful and she will jump to the frame.
So it's cheerful, is that right?
Cheerful,
So it's cheerful, but we can tell because some word is missing here.
Missing?
Yeah, it's cheerful. Where's the cheer? So we just F-U-L, full, and then what's the C-H-E-R? Where's it? We don't see.
Hide the.
Okay, you probably hide too much.
Oh.
Maybe leave some, maybe still can be seen. Even though we start with, say, capital C here, at least we can see a little bit, maybe say add a little bit more, couple letters before you totally hide the whole thing. So the cheerful actually hide out, then it's hard to say what is it. Okay, so cheerful Rowling,
Her name?
that's her name.
Yeah.
Am I like cheerful Howland related to Rowling? Okay, generative AI?
No, self-generated.
Oh,
Generated.
I guess that's another thing that we know. Which one we actually read first? Will we read like cell first? Or will we read cell first or will we read like generative first? I don't know, we got with it. Generative AI, whatever.
No, self-generated.
Okay, self-generated, not from AI.
No, AI.
Well, I guess the sequence, how we're going to put them together, maybe self kind go here.
Oh,
Then we can read easily. Now, a little bit confused about which word we should read first. It's hard to tell. Because I guess the silver looks a little bit bigger because the S is actually capital S, but somehow, since they are just apart from each other and also that capital S is not that big compared with the rest of those, so it's a little hard to tell.
oh.
So the point is like the positioning of that wording can change a lot. Like cell, what's cell generated? It's like shoot.
No, it means she jumped to the frame， 就是跳出框架，就是。
Really? So this is cell generated. It sounds like she generates something by herself. Like,
I
so
searched in the
so-
ChatGPT and this that.
I don't know. I don't really know. I think it's not quite proven. Like self-generated. That means what? She reproduced by herself. Like what? I don't know. It's like okay, so it's like so she whatever. So it's like okay, so that's the thing. Okay, but Interesting image, I guess, because the sort of like, perspective change. Looks like a little bit more like lively looking when you look at this, but a little bit weird, but somehow it's more lovely, but somehow, however, we're being forced to look at her teeth, and that's the reason why, and because those high contrast results, you see the light between those teeth, and you see, wow, she got So you force people to look at her teeth anyway, so it's like, that's the case. All right, so here's this thing. Oh, how big for the size you have? So this artboard is actually larger than A3, right? But how about her, whatever? You don't have to tell me, just make sure, at the end, your piece is larger than an A3, okay? This is what I want to ask. When you have the claw marks, you didn't do the blade. So there's no blade here, right? So you may have to do blade. That's what I'm saying. Funny thing is like, the registration mark is not touching on the piece you have. So the registration mark is just too close, so you have to leave it. Let's say this one should pull down, further down, and that is further up, whatever. So make sure it stay away from the artwork you have. Okay, so what else? I think that's interesting. But except just somehow not quite sure what is that. Let's say you have these like, more like, the parenthesis, the bracket, you got the open one, you didn't have the closed one. You also have this is open one, but I don't see the closed one here, so don't know what's that. Looks like something missing. So you don't need that, actually. So you don't have to have the brackets there, right? Because it doesn't mean anything here. Am I right? So you may want to take it out. That's also because it's confusing. Or you do have the closed one. That is also quite even more confusing, because if you say self-generative, then why that the closed bracket is actually here? So it doesn't make sense. But why you need that? Because you want to emphasize on something and make more like computer generating kind of feel, because you see those like more like computer language things. If you've got a bracket, looks like that. Looks like you're typing something on the computer, writing those codes, writing those scripts, and I don't know. Looks like you have that like that. So I don't know whether you really want to write code here or what. But that is definitely not quite right, because you just have the open one, but you don't have the closed one. So make sure you want to get that. And also carefully to be more obvious, more accurate. So now it's a little hard to tell what's that. I just see full. Okay, so it's like she full. I don't know what's that. So you don't know what. Okay. This is nice looking with the whole thing. And you add some marks here and some special effect. I don't know what is that, but so that triangles, marks, and that extra, and also what is that white strip here? I don't know what is that. That white strip? So there's a piece of white here. Looks like some kind of like, looks like I don't know. Looks like the head of a mouse.
No, I just.
Looks like high heel. So don't know what is it. So everything put over there, it means something, Think about that. It's like everything you put there could be a metaphor for the whole thing. I don't know. It should give some kind of explanation for itself why you want to put something like that there. So it should come with some kind of reason. Don't know. I don't know. So don't think. So what do you think about it? Okay, so goes on her. Oh, okay. So she is what? She just doesn't have any freedom, right? She wants to pursue freedom. So she's like, so she's kind of like what? Well, so Shukai, looking forward to say, okay, yeah, I mean, looks like those arrows kind of suggest about something to kind of looking forward, or maybe say pursuing, looks like that. But when you look at her eyes, she's actually looking on the other side, not really aligned with whatever those directions here. And her face looks a little bit sad.
I think
Looks,
her face looks like she is a very firm girl.
I kind of feel she's a little bit sober and a little bit sad because she missed all this gold. Looks like she couldn't get that. And then she kind of like feel frustrated because when she looked at that, it's like, oh, I'm dead. It looks like that, you know. I'm dying with something, but somehow I'm dead because I couldn't catch it. So at the end, you just tell people, just stay true to yourself. Give up, please. So it looks like you couldn't catch it. Well, look at this one. Can you reinterpret it on that way? Because based on whatever you showed us, seems saying her eye, her face, her whatever, her look, whatever those somehow give people a feeling about she's not really, you know, successful. She's a little bit disappointed about the things. Like, I don't know, because she looks like not even sad, you know, sober. So I don't know. And then those things like turns out to be some kind of like, you know, in spiritual kind of feel. Not really, because with this like interwing kind of arrangement you have, looks like those things looks like some kind of like light air, whatever, penetrate her body, whatever, and just slip away. You know, some kind of air, whatever, those kind of feels like that. So they're not physically touchable, looks like that. So that's reason kind of feels why so, you know, spiritual, looks like not really real. And then, and everything put together looks like, you know, we just want to show, maybe some wording could be changed, you know, to something kind of feel like in a sad way instead of in a good way, or I don't know. So just a suggestion. But somehow when I look at that, I guess it's like, it's just like, doesn't really give you that feel in that way. So I want to say, okay, that's the thing. I guess it may be you guys think about whether you really want to do. I guess it could be pretty good that you get. If you got a chance to show people about, hey, what you feel about it. I did something like that. Would you feel that way? Maybe get some kind of opinion from people by the time they read it.
I can ask.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I don't. They typically have no reaction. They just sit tight. You know, the body there, but the soul is not here. The things is not. Okay, so that's what I want to say. So technically, colors, you have 1, 2 colors, and where is the third color?
Black with
Where's the black?
eyes.
There? Oh, yeah, well, that is, well, if you really go for a budget, people will ask, hey, why don't you put more color? I mean, why don't you put more black? Because it's like, why just did the tiny bit of thing just using one color, you know, individually? So maybe this is not a good idea. So that black could be replaced with the blue, actually. So maybe put it that way if we do that. I know in this area maybe you also have black. Maybe you've got to have a little bit more black. You know, so you're not going to waste the black. Because again, you know, it's always an interesting issue. If you have the black, because it's in rare number, that means it's like we got less black compared to other color. Supposedly, if you have large area put with one color, a tiny area put into another color, the tiny area color could cause more attention because it's so different. However, but that's black. The black is actually very dark. It's a little bit hard to compare with some vivid color, with it. So let's say the red, even the blue comes with some red in it actually. Though both will cause more attention than the black. So the black doesn't really can kind of jump out because it's too dark. So the thing about this, the black is almost missing. So unless you're going to add more black, unless you're going to say, I guess probably the only way, or unless you're going to change to another color. Say if you have yellows, very bright, like gold, whatever, or maybe something kind of fluorescent look, like something kind of like fluorescent lamp. Now, color shine off from that. That may cause enough attention if that's the case. So then we can apply to a small area. But with something like this dark, it's hard to do that. So that's another thing. Bleeding issues, something just touch here, maybe you move, if you know this is the boundary you have, move the arrow down a little bit, leave some space right between the border and the arrow, if that's the case. Now it's kind of weird, unless you actually have this spread out. So let it spread out, whatever, if you want to do that, do, but you will lose the arrow look. So you got to think about it. So if I were you, I would think about move those arrows down and leave some space for this right here, and let people feel like you have the space can go forward. So you still have something in the future, or maybe outside. If not just touch it, that means like what? You reach the limit or what? So somehow it's hard to tell. But that's the thing. That's also the case, and that's the thing about it. But something like this, you got to do the bleed. Bleed, too short. You got to do the bleed. And also, you may have to do the registration now and formats to do the thing we talk about. So yours is relatively easy because everything considered pretty flat. In terms of color, solid color, flat, you didn't do any half-tone, those things. Okay. Okay, we saw this before, so not really. Oh, definitely the new one is better than this one. This one looks well. Which one is the newest one? I know, but which one? This one, I mean, the color is a little bit like, a little bit dull compared with the color you have. Color a little bit muddy on here, and this one compared to the other one. I know, it looks like the other one more like in VB color, it's more like, at least we feel it's not that mellow, a little bit energetic, but somehow again, maybe this would fit with the theme you have because she's drunk and then you have this like kind of maybe wear fit. I don't know. Tell me not. She's not. She's sure. Like what you say, we talk about. 它有点喝醉了，就是这个伤。Because against with all this like, look, alcohol, beer, whatever, and she's swing. Yeah, so it's like, this is what I'm saying. Okay, here we go. Well, should we play the music?
Yeah.
So, do you know where the music comes from? Do you know that? Is that from the movie? No, originally, no. No, from the British world.
Oh.
But that I think that's from their Richmond, something like that. I think from their whatever army, whatever that is the music they have, the songs. The regiment, I guess. Okay. Jerry Skywalker. Okay. But did you? This look. I know. We talk about that. We want to put a helmet there.
Yeah.
But looks like you already got Lord Vader's head cut off, being holding on your hand.
Okay.
Is that right? It looks like that. It's like it doesn't look like helmet anymore. Like hand actually holding because it's quite big. So it's like you, Jerry is Skywalker. You probably have no relationship with him. No, you don't have. It's like he's not your father, of course. What guys feel about this? I think it's a little bit too big for that.
Okay.
Just a tiny bit. But somehow when you're holding that, it's like that. I guess you want to tell people. But try to match with the story with it. A little bit hard to say whether it's a proper, I mean, it's appropriate to put, low waiter that kind helmet there instead of putting something else because you want to tell people this is like Skywalker, okay?
Yeah.
But he's not. He turns to be. He used to be, the Jedi, but somehow he turns to be the Sith. So it's no longer Jedi, Jedi. No, the knife. The name for the knife group, there's the kind of Jedi. So, Sim is another, and Sim is the negative side, the dark force side, the dark side, and Jedi is the righteous one. I mean, things like that. So, if you say you are Skywalker, that seems like
Okay.
wrong helmet. Does it have a wrong helmet or maybe something else? Like it looks like because the whatever the clothes you have, because it's completely dark, and also with that looks like you actually lost there. It looks like you're not ready, but somehow once you take the helmet out, then you show your true face, and you tell me I'm actually Skywalker. Then people kind of confused about what you try to tell. You were undercover.
So I can make him into the Darth Vader.
Yeah, but because that's only my feeling. Maybe somebody else will feel another way. I don't know. So, you're undercover. It's like you the. So it's like you kind of somehow in that the dark force, but somehow you actually Skywalker. I don't know. So let's see.
Okay.
But yeah, the image things put together make people feel on that way. It takes some kind of feelings about it. So it's like look at how grand is. That is very successful. A couple of things maybe say, these spaces kind allocation, I think, maybe you want to leave a little bit more spaces either way,
Okay.
or maybe say he's kind of occupying more space. Now it's a little bit strange that you leave a little bit like space like that,
Okay.
kind of tight, a little bit tight to the rest of the whole space usage. I guess maybe kind of reduce him a little bit. And also whether you want to put maybe other colors as a background. I don't know whether you want to do that because white with that black, you give people it's a huge contrast, but would there be any kind of feel or kind what environment feeling, or maybe say the atmosphere feeling come from that? It's hard to say because that is represent some kind of dark side, whatever. That represent the right thing, the right side. The righteous and the dark. It's hard to tell what is the combination once you put them together. So whether he is the kind, righteous side, or he's from the dark side, I don't know. So that background doesn't really help that much. If we want people feels like this is like the dark forces or whatever, the atmosphere looks like living gloomy, and then you don't want people to feel that happy, whatever, or maybe not that bright, then you may want to tone down this white background, make it a little bit darker, then you show that way. If you want the people to feel like this is not the dark way, then now think about him, maybe his shirt or clothes is just too dark. If you leave some whatever texture, whatever, or strokes or whatever, then you probably can let people feel like at least it's not that dark. So this is like a little hard to say which side is right now. And one thing is so interesting is like it's supposed to be black. Now it's white. What do you mean? Looks like it's implications about you want to tell people even deeper story. He is actually what? Undercover? Yeah, he is. He read the Star Wars story. I mean, not really undercover, but somehow he just changed his mind and whatever, because to save his, like, Skywalker's son. So he turned to be something like that. So that could turn out to be a very interesting story. Depends how we're going to take in. I guess you probably have to maybe study a little more about what you really want to tell people. Oh, maybe this is a very long story. That's what people don't know. That's the reason why you use that white instead of the black one. And this is like, oh, this is actually father turned to be right. I mean, turned to be whatever the right one instead of the wrong guy or maybe the bad guy or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so bleeding. We need bleed here.
Okay.
Again, there's a quote mark, registration mark, or thing.
Okay.
Color. How many colors you have?
3.
Really?
Yeah.
So this one is like another color, right?
Yeah.
Compared with this green. So
Yeah.
2 different colors.
Two.
Not the 10 color, right?
Yeah.
Alright.
This is dark green.
This is blue?
Dark green. Dark green. Very
That was
dark.
it. It looks like green, even on
Green,
both
green,
screens.
It's green. Yeah.
Okay, it looks like on my screen also on the projector screen, looks like they also in green, very, very dark green. But somehow couldn't see. And how about this? That's a question. How about this two? Now there's a problem. Even this one, 1, 2, that's 3, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is that is actually extract from this dark green,
And they're near the color.
but they're in 2 different spot color, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can do that. You can do that, but just like people would complain, say you're wasting money because you can actually extract that darker blue, darker green. I mean that light green from the darker green. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay, we almost.
I upload a new file.
Oh, look at only one. So it's like in different colors.
This one.
This one?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh. Is this supposed to be different? Oh, I see the darks there. Looks like better. Right? More interesting maybe. Let's see that. Oh, yeah, that would be interesting. So, but one thing good here, actually, you know, this create a foreground and a background kind of feel. Foreground, background. So this one, you only have two layers. The background, foreground. Can you look at this one? 3 layers. Foreground, and I don't know, the midground, whatever they call that, and then the background here. So it looks like that's 3 levels. And also we have another level here, because it is on the side, a little hard to capture. So we probably don't pay too much attention on here, because it's on the side. So it looks like if you can maintain another kind of middle ground, whatever, you could even, I don't know, and it feels like, you know, you see the perspective. You see the depth more from here if you do have that. Okay, so this is kind of like, well, what's the name, what's the font's name here? Do you remember? What's the typeface name? It has something to do with this, like, I don't know. Spongy, I don't know how can I feel that. You know, things like water coming in, being expanded. Or maybe some kind of like, you know, some kind of like cracker, biscuits. Looks like, you know, I don't know, round, whatever. But that, I don't know why you pick this, because you want to let people feel like she's so happy. I don't know, what's the theme with it? She's optimistic, she's just like positive, okay. Not fat. Look at that, it's like, you know, because it's like, looks like this is getting, you know, expand. Can give you this feeling. And what about this? Is that some kind of like seal, like a chopped seal? Like give you some kind of like, you know, say merit Mirror, say, you know, you okay, you got some kind of certificate to say, to honor you for doing good, whatever, okay? Then you may have a seal, put like that there. So yeah, so it looks like that. So how that going to relate with it? Or maybe this is some kind of like a motion or sound or some kind of like, I don't know, kind explode, or maybe something that kind relate to explode. Sometimes not like explosive, not that kind of thing. Talk about something we say during those festival, they celebrate, they kind you know have something kind of popped out and give you some kind of celebration look, whatever celebration feel. Things like that could be something like that. Bam! You know, it's just some kind of sound that actually give you a feeling about it. So that's just what we talk about. So you know, because you know, we don't have any other like visual elements to describe whatever. So by looking at what you got right now, not saying we just kind of try to sense what this whole thing's about by guessing, but somehow by the visual that we have. By looking with the visual, we kind of try to understand what the whole thing is, because those visual guys suggest some kind of look and feel about things. So I just look at whatever the font you have, I look at those like symbols you have, then kind of feel you want to tell us about something. Consider celebrating, consider happy, consider this kind of thing. But it's not strong enough to understand that with those things. It's not enough kind of feel in that way. And also, because when you look at her face, that turns out to be the most important thing. We tend to look at how people's like facial expressions about what they really feel or what they try to express on that time. So by looking at her face, it's a little hard to say because it's not clear enough to understand what's that. Because it's in this area, so that especially her eyesight. This one's okay, so you look at that side, and then we look at this one, don't know. And also the other thing quite important is actually the mouth. So how is she kind of smiling? Or she kind whatever kind, I don't know, mumbling? I don't know, it's hard to say because that is kind of a little hard to understand what is it. I think in general it looks like she's kind of smiling and kind of feel, not saying super happy, but somehow at least it feels like she is okay, I guess, just like, kind of mellow, okay. So enjoy life, sometimes like that. So that is something I feel in that, but it's not too obvious, can tell what is that. So that's the point. Why you have to repeat these two? So one is not enough? You feel this area too empty? Then if you have the repetition, say 2 words got repeated, would that be a good idea? That is like too much repetition, would that be, Unless you say her name is actually called supersede. So I don't know, I don't know, but somehow when you got something repeated, whether people will feel whether this is a careless mistake or you intentionally put something repeated, I don't know. So that's a question for you. So you may want to see why, and you got repeated with, replaced with another one. I don't know. This is up to you. And the C looks a little bit strange. It looks like it's supposed to be lined up with the super, but it got jumped down a little bit for no reason. And this C is actually slightly bigger or larger than this. So don't know why, and it's intentional. I guess the point is like if we really want to let people know the C is more important, that you would just make it a much more bigger. Big enough to tell this is so different. So that's the point. And this, whether you want to keep it or not. How about those dots here? It's like, whether this is like, I just want to give people a feel that this is not a flat background. It's not flat. It's just, it looks like we can touch it. We feel that got tactile feel about that as once you touch it. It looks like that, it's only the feeling about it. So the textured kind of background will always give people more like, you can touch it, you feel it's not flat, you know, it's more like real or dimensional, whatever it is from the real world, whatever it looks like. This is an illusion for making things more like real. Okay. Technically, you should make effect with those dots here. One color, two color, three color, okay. Then, how about these? Is this one lighter than that one?
Yes.
So that is fourth color? Or this is only, say, 75% of this?
Or 75%.
So if you do that, then you have turned those to be screens, half-tone screen, we just mentioned. So it will look like something like this. If not, we can print it, because it's spot color printing, because it's a screen printing. So we have a problem, say, if we don't turn that to solid color, either line, dot, or whatever, then we won't be able to print it. If you don't do that, that thing won't be printed, and also, we also want to match up with the tin percentage that we have for that particular color. So that is probably the way to turn it to be. So if we do that, then will that work well with whatever the background you have or not? See, this area will be made up with dots. The end. So they make up with the dots. So like the one we saw, you know, for that screens. Okay. So if that's the case, would that be a problem or not? So I don't know. Maybe you can try. The point is, like, you will have to turn it to the screen in order to be printed. If not, it won't be printed. Okay, it won't be printed. So that's a problem. So that turn it to something like that. So again, I just showed. I mean, I have demonstrations about how you would turn it to screens. It's so easy. You know, you can do it with this like bat. You know, and put a screen there. And that's easy. So just like the one, you know, just like this one. This one is 50% of this color. 50%. Your one is 75% maybe, so that means you got bigger dots. No, those are dots, okay? So that make up the whole screen. So you got bigger dots on all the screens, and yeah, together. So then at the end you have to decide whether you really want that, or maybe you can use lines if you don't want to use dots.
Use light.
Lines, yeah. Remember that I showed it here? On here, no. Not here. On the Swatch library, we have this pattern. You have basic graphic. Instead of using the basic graphic dots, you can use it basic graphic lines. Let me pull this out. I just turned off, sorry. I have it on already. So if we draw something, say like that, you can apply the other side here. Oh, sorry. So like that. You're using that. See what I'm saying? So you depends what you want to do with this. Here, sorry. Depends what you do with the text. So it could be lines make up the screen to show they have tone effect.
And on this picture.
Yeah, on
On
this.
the black picture.
Did you actually separate those color plates?
Yes.
So on this color plate, so you actually turn that to lines make up screens. Then you can maintain that 75% maybe, or 70% whatever the phase. Then this way, thing could be printed. If not, how would you use the same color to tint it? So this is the way to kind of tint it for printing. Not really see on the screen. When you see on the screen, doesn't mean anything. Even though you can do export, even the export the color separation, but somehow it doesn't work that way. So you have to turn to a screen in order to be printed. It's not going to be printed. That's the problem. So that's the thing you may have to think about. So I don't know whether you would assess background or not. So those things you may have to think about. Okay, another thing is bleed. We need to do bleed here. That's okay, that's okay. We got to do bleed here. What you to do is so easy. Make the whole thing a little bit bigger than whatever the artboard you have. Or paper size you have. And registration mark, quote marks, those things. All right, so this one is better than the other one. Optimistic. Oh, okay. So you're working on her. Why so blue? Because it's optimistic. We're just supposed to be more like, lightly, like, let's say VV color. It's like more like happy color, whatever you say. When I say blue, it's not happy color, because I say blue. This guy is so blue. This one. Sad, yeah. So that's the thing, right? I don't know, because it's like you apply a lot of blue here, whether it means something. And I don't know, that should be something maybe think about. And is that the pen? It's a little hard to see right now. It looks like because the yellow will cause more attention. The blue is kind of dim, so it looks like she doesn't really show her hands, right? Because the color. It's more like a negative way to show the hands. So that's the color issue that I would later. And this is just way too thin. Then even you can tell what's going on here. Looks like she got this like, I don't know, hands problem, I don't know. Looks like a little hard to say. I guess the whole thing kind of little hard to really kind of feel. Maybe optimistic, even though we can say things like, well, even you are in this like very kind, bad situation. Things are so bad right now, but you still feel like I still have optimistic look for the future of how different goals to develop. Maybe, who knows? So it could be things like that. I guess it's the kind of time to say. But somehow with the color, with the sea, with the thing, see, it's a little bit hard to tell because the blue itself, and also radiating joy. Wow, that's amazing. Glowing, for dreams. Okay, so maybe that's a little too much for those slides. It's not a problem that you put a lot of text to describe who she is. But the point is, like, be careful with those terms you put over there, whether they are just too contradicted to each other. That means they don't belong to each other. It's really hard to tell a person is like, oh, he's so optimistic. But at the same time, that person is really kind of evil, maybe. I know sometimes things is like really hard to put together as a one person personality, unless that person is like, a little bit high, psychiatric problem, whatever, So it's hard to feel things on that way. So maybe cut down some text may even be good to kind of describe who she is, as long as they are common to the same way, they tell them the same story and they tell basically the same or similar meaning of things. Again, that's one really hard to that. So again, the point is like, since you have so many going on here with those like lies or planes, things like that, little bit busy here. These could be less busy by cut some words out, a little bit more white space that can balance out the whole thing. I think for the composition wise to look at the thing. Thing for the hands looks like that's a little bit weird. I guess this is one of the things. The rest of those still okay. That's so looks like that's the heart. Another way, heart shape. You know, things is. I know it's not intentional, but somehow when you look at that, maybe kind of feeling about that. But when you look at the hands, the arms, like a little hard to say what is that. This is the thing, right? And then color issue, yellow, 2 blue, is that right? And 1 black. So now I'm kind of confused about total numbers you have for this piece. So basically that's 4, is that right? Yeah, you can always do something. Let's say you tint this color on this. So this is 100% blue. These could be, say, 70% or 60% of this blue. But somehow if you do that, then when you build up the screen, a halftone screen, what you're going to do? Change it to making up with dots, like that. Or you can do something like that, change it to make up with lines. But you have to do it either way. Or maybe a square, or maybe diamond shape is up to you, of course, you know, just like the one we have. Something like that, diamond shape, whatever. Just up to you. But I just want to say you don't have to convert it into some kind of screens. If not, you won't be able to print. So then you got to think about that. So what to do with those. Okay. Okay, also we need to do bleed. No, you understand what's bleed, right? Bleed? Okay, so you have to have quote marks and registration marks. Bleed is something bleed. So you understand what, do you understand what's bleed? Bleed, 出血, bleed. So you have something, one thing. So you have so bigger than, if this is the size you have, so you have an image. You can't stop your image right on the edge here. You have to bleed it out. Because this is a measurement to do is what? If people accidentally chop these things not on that particular position of the area, then you may end up with something kind of come with a white edge with it because you didn't have the image kind of bleed to cover whatever could happen. So when you cut it, when you trim things off, you have to make sure the image can be covered. Even that would be a mistake for like some kind of mistrimming at the end. So that's the thing. Okay, quote mark, read, or also other things. Oh, I forgot to bring that again. You must have draw something I have to clean up. Not like a problem. Okay. So the last one. Is it a finished one? Or this one?
I sent you.
This one is the finished one, right? Not this one.
I sent you.
You send another one?
Yeah.
This kind of remind me you send some kind of like, you know, still water. Or purified water, whatever. Oh, okay, so let me see. So did you send it or are you sending it? Here? Is this yours?
Yeah.
So why you send individually? You just don't want people to know about it? Or this one? So you want to have this one or you want to have another one? But you don't want this one?
I'm not sure. put two.
No, this one looks like not finished yet because when you look at the other one, I don't know whether you feel this looks like more like complete. Looks like it's finished.
Why?
Because I guess the point is that you have this like area being filled pretty optimal. That means not too much, not too less, whatever, filled with stuff. When you look at this one, looks like something missing, something not quite enough. Just imagine if you have something put here, no matter what is it, even if you put there, you probably go, hey, that's better because we got more stuff, you know, should have more stuff. So this one looks like a little bit empty, right? So this is like, even though it's filled with something here, but somehow it's still considered as a little empty because it's like flat color, looks like it could be, what? Just still, I mean, things is like being filled kind of as somehow doesn't mean things actually existing there. Just like we fill something with black, we may consider this is like a hollow, nothing, or black hole, whatever. So things is like empty, supposed to be inside, but somehow just filled with some kind of color or pigment, whatever that's it. So it looks like we still feel it's like a little bit empty. But the other one looks like more complete. Okay. But even though we just don't know, maybe say, you know, which one you want. So what you want to tell? So he is steady, but if it's steady, why you have to cut it to two pieces? Why you have to separate steady into two lines?
Emphasize.
Huh?
Emphasize.
Emphasize steady looks like it's not steady. You know, when you say steady, it means something kind. You know, how do stable? Okay, stable. And maybe say safe. You know, but when you see these kind of be separate, looks like what you want to suggest a movement. If you say movement, or we say separate, or maybe say piling up. That could suggest a lot of other different things, but somehow it's a little bit hard to relate with the meaning of static. So that's the reason I asked that. And also you have an impactable. What's the meaning of that? Impactable, bubble, bubble, impactable bubble. I don't know what's that. You've never heard about it.
Peace. Calm.
Peace, calm. Okay, so it will echo the peaceful, calm. Echo the ready, steady. Okay. So calm just like that.
How about another picture?
So how about this one? The other one, what do you want to say about that? Same thing?
Yeah.
So it looks like, you know, you guys just want the same time, just use this like, you know, picture for taking footballs or whatever. Or that after that is like, because you could see his hair just somehow is kind of wet. You don't feel whatever that's steady because you already moved across, you know, extremely moved and come up with like, you know, a lot of sweating at the end. So that's probably the reason why that his hat looks like so wet. So if we say steady, it's contradict to that meaning, of course, you know, it's not steady. Or whatever the piece goes. So that maybe is another implication. So it looks like this one is like more like everything's under control. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, if we do that, I guess the point is like this doesn't really suggest that feel. Looks like steady, it's like not really steady. And the other thing as well as that, you know, looks like something missing. So what kind of thing is going to put it back there? I guess that's the point. And also, okay, that is great. So how many colors do we have? 1, 2, 3? And you sure that's it?
Yeah.
All right.
The shadow, change the capacity of the dark green.
Oh, you showing dark green? So
I
this
change
is
the
dark
capacity.
green.
Yes, dark green.
So this is sort of like blue.
No.
Then what's this?
This changed dark green capacity.
So that means what? This is also a green.
No, this is 50%.
Oh, this color.
Yeah.
So they are the same color.
Yes.
All right. So this is in different color,
Mm.
and then this is in different color. So 1, 2, 3. So okay. So that's the case. Now you're going to think about how you're going to get it done, because this is to be turned to halftone screen. So halftone screen makeup maybe dark or light, whatever you got to think about. You know, because what you got for this edge of this color spatula is what? Okay, very organic look. So once you turn it to be some geometric lines or geometric dots, whether that will work well or not, I don't know. You got to test it and see. Not so sure because they are just a little bit too much going on, I guess. So arbitrary to organic, I guess. Those forms may be hard to deal with. Depends. I guess everything depends. Maybe you change it at the end and say, oh, those turns out to be more easy to read. If I put a geometric texture there, then who knows, you know, try to see how it will work. The other thing is like those bleeds, you know, you probably know about that, bleed, and marks. Those things like that. All right, so definitely something missing. You got to think about where you're going to put it. I guess even though you put something there, the whole thing will look better. Even something you extract from here, something like that, even if you put back there, that even help. But again, you know, you got to deal with this. You've got some small objects, small text right here. Then you also have some small text here, whether it will cause this like too symmetrical arrangement. That's the thing we have to think about. Okay? All right, that's the font. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, besides you still work on your piece and try to get it done, we have to do this mechanicals. So I'm going to show you the mechanicals again. One more time, last time I did show it. Say how it's going to, turn everything to color separation for those screens. But of course, if you can't do it, then I guess the only way to do is I show it on the computer. I use my computer to help. But before we do that, we should have a color, say, silkscreen printing section in the print shop downstairs. So we do it after we got a break. We may try to print it by ourselves and see. And of course, we just do it in a small scale. It's hard to say what would that be, but we just do it in a small scale. Okay, so why don't we take a break for that 10 minutes? And then come back for that. Small colors? You change the color?
Yes, because my first color
So what is the question? You just change.
I don't know
Okay, could you open this illustrator? Let me see whether you have that, say, color. I don't know how you make that color, yes. So you come with color supply. Oh, okay, so you have to separate that particular color into individual plates. So which one? This one? So this one? This one you can. This one. That's wash. I'm trying to find it where that is. Two ways. library. Swatch library, I guess is this one, and pattern. No, not this one. This one is not that. No, it's not second. Really? No, not this one. Supposed to be some. No, no, no. Oh, this one. Here. Yeah. So this one, you see that will tell you 20%, 30%, I don't know how many, 40, 70 would be to that. Let's see because it's like that. Okay. Well, for printing, everything in black, because black means like blocking whatever the light coming in for the exposure. Then we'll kind of make those like emotions so hard, and then it won't be washed out. So there's a thing. So we just press in this one. So those holes there, them in white, will be this. And the black will be this, supposed to be. But of course it is reversed. So the black one is actually cover this area. And then it's cover, and then we light it up with like exposure from light, and then that emulsion, we have the big emulsion. And it will be turned so hot and won't be washed out. And if something is not, is soft, and then will be was easy from with the water. So this thing will go away, it turns out to be holes here. So ink can go through, then can print. So that's an idea. So this thing will just the same thing. So we make it. No, it just show them black color, it doesn't matter. You can, if you want to see how it looks like, one is like that, then you expand it. Choose it. Expand it. Once you do that, you see that turns out to be dark. Right up, turn out to be dark. Oh, what I'm doing. No. You're supposed to expand, so not only the average, so I don't want to say what it means. Less. 50. Yeah, because that makes sense. I can show like that.
你就刚开始你先可能这个不好，那你觉得这个好吗？我看它是白的，对，它身体是白的。你觉得我这个差不多吗？
Then why is not expand instead of that expand happens? I don't understand. So you expand, then expand, you fill with something that you turn everything to squeeze. So yours is not. So it's so strange. Ah. So it's supposed to be expand instead of expand happens. So that's so strange. I don't understand. Yeah, it's a quarter. But just quarter. Let's just do it. Is that right? So I think that is like, take this out and see. Why the whole thing here? Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. Really? No, it's already. No, it's over now here. That's what we're just saying. No, you don't have. Oh, okay. So you actually didn't do that yet. No, this is not. This is good. See, this is good. Supposed to be right. So you can feel the color. This is good. You don't need to do it. So this curve you can feel the color. You'll feel color. And then we can feel, say, this is what the same as color. This color as well. You will make less. Okay, this color. So what is color? Then we won't allow to do that. Okay. So it's already okay. Oh, maybe I can do it. Look like now we're allowed to do it. So once you expand the reference, then you can expand. But still, the same. Is it right? Oh yeah, it works now. You see, this is weird. Yeah. You can do it. You can do it this way. And do this one. And so that is what we talk about. Then you can apply the color with it. But just for looking, say whatever, I just put elements here. So interpret something like that. Get some dots. No. We have a color. So maybe one thing missing. So it's already dark, but somehow we have to put those dots together. So the same is. No, we use it. The root we need it. So okay, we use it. And focus. And they all go one by one. Why do all of them stay like that? Okay, it doesn't move in this way because it should be so soon. I know they cut it out, but we just still lay together. Oh, that's so slow. Do that. For the look, yes, you can do that. It's not the pain at the end, you just all black and white. Select.
那如果我没有那个降低透明度，就不用变成这样子了。
Mm-hmm. So that will disappear as well. So strange. They must have. No, that's not it. Okay, so I select that. No, just send this to me. Send this to me. Just send this one to me. I don't know why this.
去揉一下子。
Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. As long as I can get it. This right. You have a say shape. Yeah, that can be something like that. I guess the point is that you can just.
对，像这种就是没关系，可以直接就这样子。但是像我刚刚那种就是，我被调过透明度可以70%，就是要把这个颗粒跟它切完是。那我这个70%透明度可以。不是，就是像这种，就是我没有变动那个，就这两个是不同色系，两个是不同色系，就没关系。然后像我这个它是，像我这个。它这两个是相同色系的，但是它算是一个颜色，但是调过透明度的，调过透明度它会就变成这样，但没法印刷。就调过透明度的变成这样的。这个我没调过透明度，它不用。我这样做吗？我不知道。我不知道你有没有调过透明度。这个黑白吗？没有，我看前面那个。这个吗？没调过透明度。然后你是同一色系的吗？就是你那个粉色算是一个颜色。对啊。算一个颜色，我就往这样。这我给你看了。就是这样。这个颜色。这个那是它可以color。那个 Pantone color。那个窗口。好，在这里。
Did you send?
Yes, I sent in the WeChat. This one, this one.
Okay.
因为你最多是把它打印下来，那不是印刷出来的，对，这样才能印刷出来，不然这两个都是印刷不出来的。那如果你这两个是不同色色的，然后我们这个就是单独加换成粉色的，可以看成这样。为啥？因为纸的那个点点好像火，非常的出色，而且我们这样玩那条这个也是胶片的。
那还是那种锅腿的，不会那个清楚，你看，这是看。
所以它那个剩下那个黑色4张是按那个颜色分的。对啊。然后就是我这个透明度60，那这个我这个怎么算？这个把这个改成点，不是直接可以把这个改成点的意思。那这个原来的海报呢？因为它胶边上的加了一个点嘛，然后这里把点开出来，好恶心，有点危机反应症。
喂。
就是你把原来那个把自己评出来，把那原来那个颜色可能就那个
把3层图分开，然后一张张。
就把3个颜色分开，还是没有？我不知道啊，我还没问。好，可以了。
这是 Well, I guess at the beginning, start with this. And just take whatever. You know, one, this on the other way. Do on this.
因为它大型小一点。
有规定吗？
This one? We don't do this.
因为现在有一个
So,
线，
undo, back to whatever the original color.
那就套文件，那个文件是要比 A3大的。
No, this one. Then this one, turn back to
对
whatever
对，
the
你
color.
看图是这样的，图是 A3，
Yeah, don't do
A3
that.
大，所以
哦，东西不一样。
Whatever.
对，
哦，
You know, this one.
怎么搞呢？
不知道。 I didn't move anything. Sure. Oh, okay. For this one. Right.
像什么？啤酒爆出来。
Because it's belief, belief, you know. We try to focus on. And then second.
没有，我是在这里推的。哦，这个图是在这里改的，这个很美。
So that's also. So I have a good result. I don't think those, that's the one. So, let's see. Okay, so, I get to you. So many things like this kind of things. Select, like this. Now it's the bit open again, same thing. it's not this one. Then I select everything. I don't want to select everything. I don't want to select, I just want to select this. I don't want to go one by one delete, that's the problem. It takes forever. So I select this one. Delete it, then it's nothing, that's it. But I can do that. Once it's deleted, then I select the points. You see? Looks like this is the way. Now I just select the parts to be all black. Then I can see the color I want. Then I can use this one. Copy, trace it down, move down. I delete those, and I just delete those.
Or
Maybe I can do this. So what color is it? Okay, for this one. What color is this? Let me see. Is it here? This one? Do you have the swatch? The swatch. Do you have it here? Then you have to. Okay, so. What color is this? This is not spot color.
一个这个，
对啊，
So to find the spot color.
蓝的呀，是的。
So how about, so this one is what?
我
So which color actual copy?
然后看这个
Okay, copy and paste.
嗯，
Yeah, copy this one, that's correct. So that means what about this color? This color? This is not a spot color either. So it has to be a spot color.
This is what?
Yeah, this is spot color. So which one? This one? This one? This one? This one? Okay, for instance, this one. That is here, okay? You see that that's spot color. Then you replace all this color, right? But this one, I don't have to care about color in this. What I have to do is I have to move this to this color. Okay, then I can select this whole thing. And then I can do complex, don't do it. Okay, so that is what we talk about. A little there. So these will be the same color as that. Let's match this too. A line. 对齐。Am I wrong? Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's on top. Then this one needs to be, they should be overlapped. To overlap, that is a problem. With the yellow one. The yellow one, no, point is like, let me talk about that, it's like, when things like overlap, it goes like this. A little bit, just two columns together. If things separate, same thing, you know, that silver color, the green color, that will cover, so you don't see something come out. So what you see here is like you actually have the yellow plate down there. So every single yellow down there should open up an area for those black, for those like red color, whatever. See what I'm saying? But somehow, I guess you can try to do this overlapping because that red is dark and it's really hard to, you know, 黄的有把这个没不动了，所以它是 yellow 那边，是 yellow。 I guess I should keep it as that. Just keep it as. Are we working on this one? No. The other one, not this one. So that means that the other one needs to be up. Remember you changed the design because those parts right underneath? Okay, so I guess it should be. The yellow is lighter, so you may get some effect like this. But it will be not that obvious. Ink on ink. So you still got some ink on top of it. That means like you will got this like red spots on top of that yellow background. So that's probably the case. If they're not the same, if this is individual color, if that is a thin color from other color, then you have to change this to screens. If you're not, if that's not, no, we don't have to do it. 你自己定啊，这个就是颜色。
那我是在服务是我看的是中外圈。
No, there's no need to change it.
哦。
As long as it extracted from a color, then that tint one, being extract one, need to change to the screens. If not, you don't have it.
那把一部分这样可以。
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. Okay, why don't we go downstairs? I'm sorry for that. Spend too much time for that. We should take a look at the print shop and we should.
我做的是黑白的，就是我画了之后，我隔着的没有颜色。我不知道我已经画颜色了，但是我不想把这样，我就这样很丑。我不想一点点。我觉得色彩相对还是差一点点。那你两个颜色如果是一个颜色的话，就是要弄成一点点。因为我是用 PS 做的那个。那你第二张那个粉色看一下，看一下那个粉色。
我也是刷去吧。
那你那个粉跟那个粉不是同一个粉吗？不知道，我乱说的。
The white is you don't have to do anything right.
怎么看这两个是？
The white is just nothing, not going to print. Is it?
这两个粉是同一个颜色，不是吗？好像它是怎么看？它是一个同一个色彩，不是同一个色彩？不知道。它其实是同一个。你看我这个黑的姐姐，就是黑掉了。
That is color, just select them and turn to right.
但是它给我搞成那个颜色。
What is the
那
selection?
你我有个 PS 的方法吗？
It's missing.
就是我 PS 的。
Is it Photoshop?
格子吗？这个变黑的我 AI 会。对啊，因为我 AI 出问题。
Okay, selection tool. This is pick the yellow one.
我这也可以。
And turn to nothing.
这不够。我晚上做着。晚上，而且我还要复习造作。是。
Is that yellow?
要不这礼拜四走3会儿跳。
Yeah, this is everything. Same color.
哦，黑的就行。
Okay, so remove that. Just turn to no color. No color. That's it. You want it to be white. Because white should be print.
就是。
Then you put the white there.
就是。有一下吗？
What is your,
我刚闭眼。
where is your swatch?
就是这里的颜色都是它是同一个色系，衣服就是这些都是一个颜色。但我刚才不是。
No, just give me that color
没
swatch.
搞的。
Don't.
再搞一个好丑。不要的。
And what is swatch?
同一个颜色。是
哦哦。
对啊，当下不是同一个颜色，我用那个。
Okay.
要不就把那个粉色搞成那种撞色，你就不用那个。可是这两个不都不是同一个色吗？我也要搞成那个砖。
That's one now. Okay.
我所有粉，我这个也搞
这个
都不是同一个色系。
没有用哈弗用这个电，就是你没有用50%的颜色。
这个是啥？那我说哪有相关？
用了50%。
There's nothing there actually. We can tell it because the background color will make it look like white. Without background, there's nothing. So it doesn't matter. Why is not the true one?
他跟我说
then you have to create a shape and say fill with color, then you're gonna create a shape.
只能135。
It's a lot of work.
他们说50。
我就是红色的，你看，你觉得跟我这个所以它只能黑白，不
We
用
didn't like
加
it
颜
to
色。
not in Photoshop, that's the problem. So when you create a Photoshop,
那个
the
色
whole
我看
thing
格子里。
being kind of like, okay, that is going to be like, when you go to you select the color of that, you select color, you make it become individual,
就是它为了，
and
但
since
是它反
everything
应该是
touching
有
each
黄，
other,
它会
it
里
just
面
comes
就要把它
down.
那个颜色
When
染
you're
出来。
creating a map,
那
that
你
is
说
what
颜色不同色系的。
So somehow it's just, you see, the thing is not after touching each other, so then this one is actually this one, and this here is actually empty, nothing. Or maybe let's say this one is white, this one is not white for now.
我也不知道去网站买个要我可以把它烧到这个视频。
This one
王宅是
那你去买那个下雨啊？
王宅是什么？
是我们捡垃圾那个地方。哦，你有去捡过吗？
now
我
this
开始
one.
就去。
The white one.
没事，我跟他约会去。
You draw the rest of those. So is that possible?
是要充电的小的。
That I just
下这么大雨是不可能的，坐电梯可能去。
可以去买别的。
now this one is enough, but I use this. So can I just change this to white? And then we change something on the back. So what about this thing? I already select, it looks like, what I select actually, I have no idea. So why is this like in this color, it's not like here?
你照的是高吗？
我不知道啊，反正是它的颜色怎么来的。
我知道怎么搞，但我不是用它包发法。
Color plate.
日本的有教程，
哪一家？
这是我们跳舞
发法
的
叫什么？
大会。
唐蓝。
It's not finished yet.
哎，是不是这里？
Then why is it so like this?
啊，对。
I have no
请问
question.
他们什么叫什么 AI 吗？
对 AI。
看一下。
So color is there, but why is not white, but we see it's white? Actually, it's
不
strange.
知道是不是这个没看。
没有想过那个定理是定理。
And the change to white, have to put it in white,
他们都有那个什么
that
记忆
thing
的
is properly, the,
你这 AI。
nothing to really.
PS 半色调。
我做了个图案，
哎，这个也非常伟大。这个也要干嘛？
What?
就是图案叠加，然后
No, 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 no,
不
no,
是
no.
这个圆是拿来干嘛的？
就是你做渐变，
那个
就是你50%
50%
的颜色，你如果只用50%的颜色的话，你比如说
Because
套了一种绿色，然
that
后
one
你想
is,
背景只
I
用
don't
正
know,
绿
I
色
don't
的
have
50%，就让它变淡，就用这个，因为你如果
表示是什么？
对用点用圆表现它，因为它那个印刷的时候，你如果
how about that?
太淡的话，就相当于重新选一个颜色，直接用纯色的话，就要用多点。
你那个会吗？机械。
Now can I
就
just
是
turn
我要
white?
把这个圆建出来，然后再把纹板纹上去。
And then put it back there.
这个地方
应该是
就是把圆建出来，用纹板把这个就是你拉透明度的颜色表示出来。
That works.
应该是。
对啊，为什么用 PS 呢？
Then I don't know what to say.
因为他当时那个套这个的时候说， 靠这个。
Okay, so good there, it's like
考
couple
这
of
个
things.
APS 需要靠 PhD。
We should go down, sorry. We should go down. Or actually, we want to say something, but they don't. Okay, let's go down. Oh, I need a card, sorry.
有些地方直接就可以写出来了，格式啊。我上一次真的有点忘了，我开始。
Is it that already?
我先试试这个。
Well.